Okay, folks, here we go.
Here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by.
Yeah.
Yacht,
Yeah,
take
like at midfield. Just go
take
right
off,
now.
take
Go to
off.
camera 3. 3. Go to the get perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Okay.
Go right there. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the get perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q, Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
4,
3, 2, 1,
Hold
and
on.
we're live.
All right, here we go. What's
Here
up,
we
guys?
are.
It is 8 p.m. Eastern time. It is 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we got that white screen again. So let me go ahead and dump those out. But once again, guys, it is happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Ricky, it's happy Friday to you. Let me get us configured here because once again, I'm not sure why this did that, but
That's all right. We know that they can hear us. We'll just get you. Well, you guys will be
Yeah.
able to see us in a while. I know you're not missing us. You see us every Friday. Well, guys, hey, listen,
Right.
thank you once again for joining us here at the Balboa Yacht Club happy hour. And, we do this podcast every Friday as we love to talk to you completely and entirely about the Panama Canal, its history, its people. And tonight we have a special show to you because we're going to, for you, which is going to be
There's one
a
of them.
show on an incredible town. And that, guys, is the town of Balboa on the Pacific side.
Yeah, Ricky's got himself quite the he's got quite the episode set up for us. It's gonna be really good. It's all about Balboa, and I'll tell you what, you won't recognize it. There's a couple of pictures he's gonna show us that honestly you're gonna have to really think about where exactly you're at because it's hard to tell, it's hard to recognize. It's not the Balboa that we were running around in. It's certainly not that at all. So, but very, very interesting perspective, of course, with Ricky and his background in architecture. So there he is. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. Really excited for that because that's where we grew up, man. I mean, Barnaby Street. That was where I first started hanging around, being a Zonian, running around,
Yeah, so we're gonna do a show, guys, like I like to do it. We're gonna start with the design development phase where all the planning was done, and then we're gonna move into the construction phase, and we'll talk about all the buildings that were being built, and then we'll wrap it up with the social part of the town. But yeah, it's gonna be a great show. In the meantime, Willie, we've got some people to say hi to. We've got to don't forget to subscribe and hit like,
definitely.
guys. It helps us out tremendously. And what it really does, it just puts out our story out to the rest of the world. And the rest of the world should listen to what the Canal Zone was like through the eyes of Zonians.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's
without a doubt, yeah. So hit like and subscribe, guys. We're getting close to 500. That'll be phenomenal once we get there.
Yeah, we want to subscribe for sure. That's the one that we definitely want you guys to do is subscribe to the channel if you can, because that does help us out quite a bit. But it's interesting that you brought that perspective. And Jim and Diane, good to see you guys. Enjoy your Panama Little League Baseball loss of 6th inning. Yeah, you know what? Panama has really stepped up in sports worldwide. They just are having a ton of success across the board. I mean, you go from martial arts to baseball to boxing to
Basketball.
football, even basketball. It's Panama
flag
always seems to be
football.
coming up a lot in sports. Indeed, it's really cool. It's really cool to see, man.
We are a tiny country, 4 million. I mean, we grew up with 2 million. 4 million sounds like a lot, but still, even
Right.
4 million is a small country. Hey,
Sure.
Mr. Dupree, how are there, Dodd?
Good to see you, Dodd. Hope you're enjoying that howler monkey sauce. Don, good to see you. Yeah, you can. Yeah, no,
Hey,
I don't know
Mr.
what
Don,
it is.
yes.
There's this EV Mug Studio has been having some issues because I've been on their tech support and even on their Facebook page, and some people lost a bunch of all their other. Anyway, long story
like
short,
their seeds
they're
and
having
stuff
some,
like that.
some issues.
Imagine having to
Yeah,
start all over.
and Ricky and I were even talking about it. We got to at least put something in there that we can just real quick turn it on as an image to cover it, until we fix them like we do here. So we kind of, we
no
weren't
matter what, we gotta
anticipating it,
fix
but
it,
at
yeah.
least we were able to get it up a little quicker than that. So,
Yeah. Well, hey,
but yeah.
we always say on the show, to do a live show, you got to be a master troubleshooter. And my friend on
On
the
the
other
fly.
side of me, he's a master troubleshooter. I'll get the microphones now down. I know how to fix that. So I'm catching
Well,
up.
and Ricky's got himself a new camera now too, which has got. I mean, the picture looks great. It definitely is
Major improvement, yeah.
much different there. So for sure here, Vern, good to
Keep
see you.
setting
Looking
those
forward to seeing Vern
architectural
here.
projects.
Yep, and Vern's gonna meet up with
Vern.
myself and Pat up in Minnesota here in a couple of weeks. And we're gonna go
excellent.
check out that Bucyrus steam
Vern,
shuttle. That's gonna be cool, man.
There's a building you want to talk about in the Atlantic side. Man, let's do a show, an architecture show together. Any
Yeah.
building or town.
I'll tell you
like
what,
we're
Ricky,
doing
would be a
Balboa.
cool.
Hey,
Here's another one that I think would be cool is, and this is both Atlantic and Pacific side, is the control house, on the Miraflores locks and Gatun locks, a very iconic building that, the look and shape of it and everything.
where the tourists go, right? That one?
No, the one right in the middle, the control one that you see that it says Miraflores.
Oh, the building in the center. It's iconic because it's in every picture of every president that ever goes
and they
down.
have
or
one in
crosses
Gatun and one in Miraflores, the same thing. So it'd be cool to check that out and learn about that building.
Check that out. Learn about.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a
Yeah, I
lot of
think
great
so.
buildings. I thought that we were going to be limited, but no, we're not. There's actually a lot. And now I know. Listen, some of the places that have there's a lot of. Here it is. Let me show you guys where a lot of these sources
Bill, good
come
to see you.
from.
And by the way,
Panama
salute
Canal
everybody.
40.
We normally cheers. Ricky didn't get to that.
Cheers,
We just-
everybody. Yeah, let's do a cheers. God, I mean, sorry, it's my fault. I'm getting excited. I want to get started. But cheers.
It is. Listen, architecture, Ricky goes nuts. Trust me, man. I'm getting messages all week long, man. And it's
Willie's heard tonight's story 3 times already. So
yeah, I
poor
can tell it
Willie.
myself. Listen, if Ricky has any technical issues, the story will go on. Don't worry, I got it down pat, man. But a great one indeed. Really well
so
done,
we're doing
Ricky.
Canal Zone
honestly.
Cup and some German beer tonight, guys. Cheers.
Yes, right on, man. But whatchamacallit, what was I gonna? I just lost my train. Oh, there it is. Vern said maybe CHS. That would be a good one.
Oh yeah, we can do Cristobal Balboa, something like
You
that.
got to sit still. There you go. Look at you.
Yeah, I do. But listen, I'm getting a lot of information, plans, pictures from the National Archives, from the Smithsonian National Postal Museum, from University of Florida, American Overseas Schools, Historic Society, the National Park Service. I mean, incredible. U.S. Commission of Fine Arts. This is where a lot of the stuff tonight's coming from, guys. A lot of the information you're going to get. But one thing I did find really interesting was Balboa was not the largest town in the Canal Zone. The what I read was Balboa was the second, but it never said who was the first. So that's a question for everybody out there. What was the, in area, square foot area, the largest town in the Canal Zone? It wasn't Balboa. I can imagine Ancon. No, Ancon would be smaller. Clayton, perhaps?
and La Boca is technically its own town because it has
Balboa,
its own sign.
we'll tell you the borders tonight. So, anyways, that's the questions for all you guys out there. What
Interesting.
was the largest town in the Canal Zone?
Yeah, there you go. Something to be looking it up. Scrambling to get on Google and all that.
Well, it'll
stuff.
be nice
But,
because I didn't search it, but yeah, it was something interesting. A lot of interesting facts tonight about Balboa. So we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, no, and what and the thing about it is we've, especially after leaving the zone and living here in the States for so many years now, you realize that the Canal Zone really was quite small, as far as an area goes, and
Balboa,
from
5
what
square
seemed
miles.
like Clayton to Amador. Yeah, I mean,
That's
Amador to Clayton seemed like a long way, and now you look at it and you're like, wow, that's just down the street, man. It's not that far, and but things were slower down there too. I mean, gosh, I remember in Panama the speed limit was what, 35 kilometers an hour, some insane speed,
Yeah,
man. It's-
the Canal Zone really was like 30, 45.
so that's why it took you
max.
20 minutes to get somewhere, man, because you had to go at 25 miles an hour anyway, you know.
And our police would catch you. Believe me, there was no speeding
Oh, yeah.
anywhere in the zone. And you know what's funny? My cousins that would come in from Panama to visit, us in the Canal Zone. My cousin would always say, you know what? In Panama, we speed everywhere. As soon as we come into the Canal Zone, everybody obeys because they know you would get a ticket, and you're not paying anybody off to get out of that ticket.
No, definitely not. It was definitely obey the law in the zone. Without a doubt, you obey the law in the zone. Yeah, no, that was good times. And that's the whole thing about the zone. And the other thing, that's what it was when we were saying cheers, okay? The other thing we're going to cheers for, speaking of the Atlantic side, right? We did that excavating episode on the Gatun Dam, right? And that whole Gatun Locks area, which kind of seems like it's more enclosed all in one unit, whereas in the Pacific side, it was more spread out, right? Even the port was a distance away from the Miraflores Locks, and then you had the Pedro Miguel Locks where, you had the Gatun Dam, you had the Gatun Locks, and Cristobal, the port, was just right up the way there. But August 24th, which is right around the corner here on Monday or Tuesday, is in 1909, August 24th, was when the first bucket of concrete started getting poured. Prior to that, it was a lot of digging. It wasn't getting building yet.
Wow, yes.
Yeah. 1909,
Tonight's story
August
is
24th.
1912 through about 1920. Tonight's story.
Right. Yeah. That's when the priorities started to gradually shift, and they started changing, and they realized that, okay, there's certainly a lot less digging now, and in fact, the digging at that point by 1912 had transitioned to aquatic, right? It was a lot more on the dredges and Correct. And whereas earlier on it was pretty much dry excavating, except for the very edges there. But the harbors
got excavated, so that
absolutely
all mud.
So now the workforce started transitioning to now starting to build the communities and realizing, okay, now we're gonna have to support the canal now, and so you're gonna start transitioning people out.
That decision snuck up on Gothos. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh shit! I'm running out of time. I gotta build towns, for all these people." Because, like Willie has told us in the past, the canal was going to be sea level when the United States took over. They then later changed it. So when it was sea level, there was no towns planned. It was like the Suez. You just go straight through.
You're absolutely right. And you're talking 1906 is when they finally decided once and for all, we're going to do a locks canal.
Right.
Because up to that point, you were still planning on that sea level canal, and all you really need is infrastructure. Really, you would have had some stuff in Balboa on that side. It wouldn't have been Balboa we have now, though, because they would have been damming up between that hill you see behind us there and Ancon Hill to Ricky's left, I guess. That whole area was going to be dammed up to then create that. They were going to have a lock mechanism to help control the tides. But other than that, it was going to be open for free traffic. Not free, obviously, but movement was going to be a lot less restricted, which means you wouldn't have had all these towns.
Schools and railroad and all that stuff. So
heck no.
All this stuff started coming like, oh my God, because all the towns of that time, Willie, they would get dismantled as the canal was being built. You're coming one way.
And then as the water started rising in the lake, you had to get rid of them. so thank God for locks, man.
All right, so that's what we're going to talk about is that time when Gothos is like, wait a second here, I got to get my act together and let's get rolling on the resident, providing housing and providing the Americana in the tropics.
And that's what it was, 100%. Remember, they were building America, or a small piece of America in the middle of Panama there,
the tropics,
but using, like Ricky showed us in prior episodes here, the type of architecture that would be functional there, that you could live in, and then it became a style of architecture that's recognized with the name of the Canal Zone Tropical or whatever that the name is, but it was developed because of Panama. Yeah, that's interesting, man.
Panama. Well, another and tonight you're going to learn a lot about it. Another reason is because the top architects of the time all went to Panama to study the climate, the environment, how to live in that. So, this is why this, the best of the best started with the working there, providing the architectural services. But anyways.
And it was all about making it functional first and foremost.
Well, Depends on who you talk to. Because that's the whole war about this first phase. So we want to just jump right in, Willie, or are we going to do our segment 2?
Well,
to you, man.
We'll do some really
chit-chatting.
quick announcements and then jump back in. But yeah, I mean,
right,
honestly, and the only one is because we do, talk about the Canal Zone documentary, the Substack. You know, so we definitely want to give those guys some love as well. So.
SCN Television presents K-Pasa. And now here's this evening's host, Army Sergeant Bob Foster.
Good evening and welcome to K-Pasa. We've got 2 guests tonight. First Sergeant First Class Jim Webb. Sergeant Webb's with the 227th Military Police Detachment. He's the
You see that there? That's called a stinger transition. When we do that, and you see that Canal Zone little thing swing by. So, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, it is. Hold on, I'm looking for the Canal Zone documentary is, and the Substack is the ones that sponsor our K-Pasa segment, and so we always want to talk about those guys and talk about what exactly they're doing, because they really are doing a really important mission, I guess, for the Canal Zone and really for all of us. We had this great experience growing up down there, and a lot of what's been recorded in historical books and narratives and films and documentaries and you name it has all been around that amazing canal. And it wasn't. It's still to this day. It's an incredible endeavor, incredible project, what they did there with the resources at the time and the ingenuity and everything involved there. But the other piece that's not talked about is that this American era from 1903 till 1999. The American era was the folks that lived there in the Canal Zone, right? And the people that are the Zonians, and who is a Zonian and what is a Zonian? And that question, pops up all the time and whatnot. And so that story about the things that we did, which a lot of what we talk about here on the show, either in between segments or when we just start bringing things up in that banter, a lot of times that's some of our more enjoyable content is when we're just, somebody throws something into the chat and says, hey, do you guys remember so-and-so or such and such place? and next thing you know, it just, a whole new conversation opens up, and that whole community and that message and that lifestyle that we had down there was truly unique. And to me, nothing exemplifies it more than, going to the reunion in Orlando and getting in that elevator and having somebody that's not a Zonian that's staying there for some other function, and they see the lanyard that we're wearing, it says Pan Canal Society, and they always ask, who are you guys? Because they see something special there, right? And to those guys there, they're seeing a bunch of Americans as well, because that's all the majority of these guys are at the reunion. There's something very distinct and different about them, and that's that Zonian culture, right? And so. Yes. And you could spend an hour talking to these people, but of course, as soon as that elevator door opens, and you're like, "Hey, so-and-so," and he's like, "Hey, I gotta go, man." And
I just thought of this, Willie. You know what I think it is? When you go to these, hotels like the one they have the reunion in, normally that's for a convention or for a company's this or a group that. So they're not used to interacting with the people they go to convention with the way we interact. So they look at us and going, wait, because they probably think we're in a convention as well, right? So that, I bet you that's like a triple freak out for them. Like, man, I wouldn't be like that with the people I'm with. But anyway,
and if anything, they're like, I want to work for that company, man. Those guys they're having a blast.
And that's how that's what it feels like that they're saying, like, who are you guys? I want to be a part of this. And a lot of them do join.
Cool. Look at these guys.
Yeah, a lot of them do join up.
There's a real genuine curiosity at it.
Yeah, they do.
But that whole point, that whole message, that Zonian culture and community is really what the Canal Zone documentary is trying to capture. Is people telling that story so that because it's when we go, the stories go. Unfortunately, right? And that's just the way the way life is.
stories from a Zonian And then there'll be
That's my
stories
point.
being told by,
and that's what the Canal Zone documentary is all about, though, is the Zonian stories. The people that grew up down there, that went to school down there, that the people that were in front of the flag during the '64 riots, the people that played in that first Balboa Rams game, the people that were standing holding that flag, at the last day of 1979, and everything in between, right? That was a Canal Zone experience that went back to 1903, and you take Dave Dahlstrom, for example. His great grandparents were down there, building the canal. You take, David Smith and Gilbert Smith and the Smith family. Their family went even before the Canal Zone. They predate the
they were
Canal
train
Zone
builders.
Yeah, and so there's a long story of a culture there, a Zonian culture that again, that story goes away when the people go away. And so
let's leave our footprint. That's what this show's all about, leaving our footprint, guys.
And that's what this Canal Zone documentary is all about. And that's what, you got to get involved in this, the Substack, and that's one of the ways to stay connected with it and be involved and be able to tell your story is that,
Willie, you can upload like pictures and stuff like that, or poems that you wrote and things like that.
It's evolving like everything else, but the Substack think of it like a newsletter, right? And there's content that's put out there. To it.
You just read.
You can engage in the conversation. You can comment on it as well.
Got you.
But the idea is that when there's a topic thrown out there, and people start throwing in their comments, it creates more engagement. And then, at some point when Thane and the production company's ready to start filming and gathering these stories, they've got some stuff and got some people to go and talk to that we're participating here and we're part of that experience, right? And so, get involved like it says on here and that they started in April of this year. They just launched the Substack and they have 927 subscribers already, which is
Holy
great.
Cow.
They're approaching 1,000 already in just a couple of months, and they have a 50%
How can we
open rate.
sneak our little button in there so you can subscribe to us as well?
Well, we do, and we're gonna build our own Substack as well. There's some things I've been working on an automation system to start putting more content out on a daily basis because I just don't have the time and part of it and so but a big part of it is things like this, that when you see something come out in that Substack and there's a newsletter about the Cayuca race, for example, well, if you were paddled in the Cayuca race, throw your experience in there, throw your stuff in there, but join the Substack. It's free to join. There's some membership levels as well that can help with the whole documentary. But again, it's a great place to stay connected. And Thane's doing a really good job of
he is
getting closer to that point of being able to really start building and producing this documentary. So get your word and your story out there and save it for future generations, for our grandkids and their grandkids to be able to talk about what the Americans did in Panama and have a story from us, right? Not just something out of a book and a textbook somewhere. So, but anyhow, that's who takes care of our K-Pasta is that. And gosh darn it, that did it again. You see,
we're on white again. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Well, let's go.
While
you're doing that, I got a few little updates on some Bochincha news. Quick.
Yeah, no, go ahead. And we've got this background. Hopefully it holds now. Let me see if it goes. Okay, so we're not in it right now, but they can see the Ricky architecture coming up. So let me get that.
That one's working. Let's just stay there. El Rey is in the house. Yes, he is. Johnny McGee. Good to see you, my friend.
What's up, Johnny?
Well, I got a couple of updates, Willie, while we're doing this. If you guys know, we always update you on the China-Panama conflict, right?
Yes,
it goes good, it goes sour, then it goes sweet, and then sour. Well, God darn it, we're back to sour, guys. So, right when they let Panama feel like, all right, we got an agreement, we're on the same level, everybody respect, whatever. We're going to have, they had this meeting first to talk about their problems. And then the Chinese like, yeah, we're going to agree to all this stuff. And they go, okay, well, let's sign the agreement, right? So the Chinese, oh, yeah, for sure, right? And then they start sending Panamanian ships across the Suez Canal, right? And then, everyone's like, oh, come on, man, stop that, whatever. So they're like, okay, no more Suez Canal and no more inspections. So what do they do now, Willie, if you can believe this? They still haven't confirmed a meeting to sign the agreement. They're like, oh, no confirmation. No confirmation. Maybe later. No confirmation. And the worst, and then the other thing was, we already know that Panama Ports sued Panama, right? And they're going to arbitration. Well, now C.K. Hutchinson is suing Panama. And so that's the new development. So there's two new for the same amount. And that's all pressure from China, right? So we're back to, big brother, get over here a little bit.
But that's kind of their MO, though. China likes to do that. They like to keep people off balance, man. They just that's kind of their way.
MO. Yeah,
they love the chaos.
Leave us alone already.
Yeah, it is.
Man. Jesus Christ! Stop being so freaking corrupted. If you don't like our courts.
Couldn't agree more, brother.
Darn it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. So that's the update. The other update was Panamax. They finished that. Those drills. It was a big deal, but it was like the 30th or the 40th anniversary of this. So it's been around for a while. But Willie, this is what's interesting about, and this is why I'm going to report on it. So we always hear like on this last one, 21 nations, including the U.S. and Panama. Right. 21 nations, 1,700 men, etc. were all participating. So I started reading up on it about who's doing what and what so many guys, who's doing what. You know what I mean? There's a lot of freaking nations there, so that, they got to be broken down some way. Sure. So the people, so these are the countries that will lead the different things there. The Air Force will be led by Colombia. So if there's anything ever happened to Panama, the Colombian Air Force will be the first ones there. So the Air Force protections by Colombia. The Army protection is by Peru. Peru provides the Army protection. Of course, with the backing of the other people, but it's the Peruvian Army generals that would be leading the force. The Navy is led by Chile. That's
okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably have the biggest coastline in South America of almost any country. If you think about it,
that's a good point. And then all the drones by Ecuador. Ecuador will be the ones that would send all the drones to get over there, while the rest of the troops come in. So I was like, that's interesting. And of course, all the special forces are led by Argentina. Of course, Panama and the U.S. are like the Golfos of everything.
Right. Yes.
Right. So Argentina will be leading all the special forces, and Peru's part of it. But United States and Panama are the key. But it's those four countries that do the special forces.
Interesting.
And those are the guys that are in the jungle. That's where those guys are, in the jungle. So that was really interesting. Chile in the Navy, Colombia Air Force, Peru Army. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, about that. That's kind of cool. And on sports, Willie, quickie on the sports, the New York Yankees have a new speed demon. Some kid stole something like 42 stolen bases in 74 games. Of course, in the minors, right, in the AAA. So he's coming up now, 23-year-old from Panama. So we have a new sensation playing for the New York Yankees from Panama. His name is Luis Durango Jr., 23-year-old. It doesn't say where he's from exactly, but his boy can run. Speed that's cool. Demon. Yeah.
Right on.
Maybe we'll have another Mariano Rivera play.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, Panama always is really has become a very athletic country. It really has.
I got an interesting message tonight or yesterday actually from Ray Maston. Now everybody in the Canal knows who Ray Maston is, right? And it's funny, Willie. He says, I'm not a Zonian, but, I'm just calling, I'm like, what? You're the most Zonian that there is, You're like you're the O.J. Simpson, in the good way, O.J. Simpson of the Canal Zone. Well, he's in Panama, Willie. And he was just watching regular TV, and there was this a program on Little League football in Panama. And he said he was almost in tears because of the level has come, the respect for the history of where it came.
Yes,
and that is something 2 years ago when we started our show, it was basically football, Balboa Ram, right? That's how I started. And
that's how you started for sure.
Yeah. And we got the Larry Ciceros and the Ray Mastons and the quarterback. What was that quarterback's name that also came with them? I mean, these guys were iconic football players. And but he was in Panama, Willie, and he saw this thing
Yeah.
on TV, and he said it was so touching and moving to him, because he was there.
We got to
from
get
the
him
beginning.
back. You know something interesting. Before I ever actually launched the show, I tried to do a test run one time, and I had totally different software and everything for so it was actually quite clunky and difficult to do. But I did manage to sit for about 30 or 40 minutes with Coach Cotton, George Cotton, Guy Nacchio, who was a big part of the early Kiwanis
He was the Panama
teams.
coach.
Yes, and Ray Maston, and I had reached out to him. I just found him on a Rams page, and we just started talking. That's where he initially told that story of coming out that first time when the first team came down from the States. And these guys had really nice, flashy uniforms, and this was early days for the Panama Junior Football League. Wasn't a lot of money and a lot of old hand-me-down equipment and stuff. And he said in his own words, when they were lined up warming up, just looking at how sharp they looked, we had already lost the game.
That was the last time they beat us too. They never beat us again, man. They would come down, we would just smash up. I went with the John Canzero, and we didn't play because I was hurt. And but we went there and played them and whooped on them as well.
Well, and he said the other thing was that that show they in essence showed up the Canal Zone because they came down here with all their spiffy, flashy new, everything was brand new, and that was it. The next year, the Canal Zone had the budget in there to buy all new equipment, all new helmets, new shoulder pads, new jerseys, pants, you name it. And so they looked like good football teams, and it totally changed the game.
We should probably bring the football coaches back because we would have completely different questions this time.
Preseason's already started, so football's around the corner. It's the time of the year. Absolutely.
We got construction, architecture, football, and David.
I'll tell you what I want to also do is get some class of 87 folks. We got to get, I know, right? We got to get some class of 87 folks on here because they got their graduation coming up next year.
There's our Chris Welch. I know him quite well.
Oh, very good.
Hello, Chris Welch.
Right.
He's a Balboa Heights kid. His father was the big job. Those kids up there. Oh, can't wait to get into all the towns, and you guys are going to find out why we lived where we lived.
Yeah.
And Willie, you know what? It had nothing to do with race. That's bullshit. I hate that. And you know what it had to do with, Willie? What job you had.
Yeah, I mean there was a racial component, but it was a sign of the times. But really, it was they had set up the zone in a certain way where you had where the jobs determined what your payroll and pay scale was, and therefore where you were allowed to live.
I guess you can look at it that way. I never look at it that way.
I look at it like
because I'm an architect, so I see the planning, and it all to me makes total sense.
Yeah,
why you would want to put all the people here because the ports are there, and why you want to put all the people over here because the admin building's there, and why you know what I mean? That's kind of the way it was laid out.
At the end of the day, a building's a building. Whether someone's going to live in it or not, that's different story. And listen, we want to believe that everything about life in the Canal Zone was awesome, and for the most part, it really was. But there was some things. Let's not kid ourselves. There was.
Jeffries, hey, Chris Jeffrey. Andrew. Andrew's punking you, man. Don't let him punk. Make him buy drinks, though.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought one thing about when you hang out with Andrew F. Tomatis, which I got to hang out with him in San Francisco, Andrew always picks up the bill. So don't forget to go out with Andrew F. Tomatis.
There you go. Andrew's like, damn, dude, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for outing it. Yeah, there you go, man. Speaking of
thank you, Andrew, man. That was cool.
He's been posting some really cool videos on, mostly on Instagram, of the work he's doing on his project, man, and man, it's looking sharp, guys. Go and check it out if you can. Look up Andrew's. Throw it in the chat when you get a chance, Andrew. The Instagram there, and get people to go check it out because it looks pretty cool, man. It's coming along great, man. It's now when this thing finds a home, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an absolute huge draw because it's already getting attention of a lot of people, man. So, there you go.
Yeah. You know what, Willie? We haven't lost. We have, hey, Ricky, what? Oh, you pay when you, when I come visit for sure.
That's what happens
I
for me.
think really it has to be that scene. Because look, we haven't gotten white on this scene. It has to be that scene. Something's corrupted on that scene.
It could be. I don't know what it is.
I have
it
a
might
great
be.
feeling. Let's take votes. No, just kidding. That's
Yeah,
good.
there we go. We're going to tech support by vote here. That's how that works. Yeah, somehow I don't think that works here. Look, I love this saying here that Don's talked through in their family history is everything. It really is. It absolutely is, you know. And for a lot of us in the zone, remember we had that home leave, which that in itself was a cool event, getting up early in the morning and going out to the motor pool and then taking the buses out to Tocumen, to the old Tocumen airport, and jumping on the Pan Am charter flights. But, like for example, for me, I got to see my grandparents every couple of years, right? So it wasn't, on my dad's side, it wasn't that often. And so, when you're there at your grandparents' house or when you're, with family like that, where they sit down and start telling a story about, back in the day, they're really cool stories, and so that whole family history thing really does make sense. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that whole, getting that Zonian story out, because, the stories that we heard, 2 years ago, Al Sprague was on here, and his story about that prank with the coffin in the bus. There's not a textbook in the world that you're going to find that story. But that is as Zonian a story as anything involving Teddy Roosevelt and making the dirt fly, right? It's part of the essence of what we did in our experience. And that's what we want to try and make sure we do hang on to. And in fact, originally that's what this show was going to be about, was get on here and chat and tell stories. And that's why we make sure that we throw the chats on the screen as well, because we want you guys to, a lot of times you guys are the ones that turn us on to an idea and go, hey, this would be a great idea here. Or do you remember this place? And like, wow, that'd be great to talk about that, right? Because it turns out that a lot of people, we put out a thing the other day about, I put a post out about Friday nights. What was the place you hung out on Friday nights? And I've posted on quite a few of the different Facebook pages, so I know a lot of you guys, a lot of us are on a lot of the different ones, so we've probably seen it in several places. Apologies, but not everybody's on the same pages, and Zonians are kind of spread out that way.
Friday night started actually Friday afternoon.
Right. Well, that is true. That is very true. But what was interesting about it was the amount of responses that we got, of different places at different eras. And you could tell based on who it was that was answering more or less what era that was and where they were going on Friday night in the evening.
I'll tell you, typical Friday night for me as a 12th and first year of college. 3 o'clock rolls around, you're done with school. Jerry Kurz would show up with his Jeep. I would pile in, John Canzero would pile in, Marco Prieto would pile in, fill up the cooler, go out to the causeway.
Yes.
So drink her till about 6, chit-chat with everybody, hit the KC for a quick bowl of Sancocho and another beer. From that, you go home and eat. And then everybody grabs their own cars and meets at the Yacht Club
at the Yacht Club.
Around 8-ish, right before 9 p.m. And then from there, either you stay there, or from there you took off to a Panama party, or
and when you met at 8-ish, you were at the middle bar.
To the spinning club or something.
Yeah, but when you met at the Yacht Club at 8 o'clock, you were down in the middle bar drinking.
At the middle bar, absolutely at the middle bar. That's where you would meet. Yeah. Yes,
and then later on at night was when the party starts upstairs.
Or elsewhere, like I said, or elsewhere. You either stay there because something was happening,
correct,
or you would go like the spinning club had a lot of great parties. A lot of live bands in the spinning club.
Yeah, one of the things that I brought up in that conversation, and again, like I said, there was a lot of people participating and throwing their stories of them, places they would hang out and whatever. But one of the things that I brought up was, at the beginning of the school year, you got to the Yacht Club later if you played football. Because you played football Friday night.
Yeah.
Right? And then you'd go home after that. And then especially if you played on the Atlantic side, you're not getting home till 11 or 12. So
I don't remember being a big partier while we played football, man. We were into football.
Yeah, but we still went out. You still went out to the Yacht Club. You still went to the Yacht Club.
You're right. After the game, you definitely went. Yeah, you definitely went.
Sure did.
But I don't think like Thursday nights we were there or Wednesday night.
No. That was definitely after football season. But it was always better to show up at the Yacht Club Friday night if you won, and especially if it was the homecoming game and the Bulldogs beat Red Machine. Then it was a great night at the Yacht Club.
But there was never animosity. There was never animosity after the game.
No, it wasn't. It was a good feeling though. It was
after the game.
You had bragging rights, man.
I'll tell you when the most animosity happened. If you made the All-Star team, when all the teams would practice, There'd be some sick hitting there, man. Everybody would crush everybody to show off who was the tougher kid, the toughest kids. That's where you would see the animosity was in that practice.
Yeah.
Of course, we would crush all the
that
red
whole
machines.
All-Star game was fun, man. That was really cool, man. That was a good experience.
It was.
Good times. But we are getting into football season, so you know what? Reach out to Ray and see if he wants to come back on and talk some football.
I did. We're going to bring Ray Maston back, and hopefully with his gang of football players.
Yeah,
talk
absolutely.
Some ball.
We're about to go to Las Casadas and check. And right on, dude. There you go. Maybe chime in. Give us a little live play-by-play. What you got going on there? Give us
we might even throw
take
a little. We might throw a little. What do you call that, Willie? Tonight, some kudos to his stuff. Some kudos to his area. We got some great pictures to go over tonight.
Cascadas, man. Yeah, heck yeah, absolutely.
Incredible picture. Bueno, mijo.
But let's get started on some really cool architecture here, guys, because like I said, this is
crazy.
Well, and you know what? Most of us lived on the Pacific side, of course, and then most of us lived or worked in the Balboa area. Obviously, if you went to high school, you were in Balboa, for that time frame as well. But junior high bus wars, Balboa, going left and right.
I remember that. I remember that intersection. Yes, you can get egged on that intersection.
That's right. Because that bus would go right by it, man.
Right. So you went to the train station, or you kept going? Right. That was the danger spot right there. And also going through Kurundu, man. Those kids would throw all kinds of stuff at us as well.
Yeah, from Hollywood.
Oh, Hollywood.
Yes, they would. Yes, whenever there was bad stuff going on between Panama and the U.S. or any kind of whatever, man, you count on that. They'd get pelted. The buses going to Kurundu. They sure would. Good stuff. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. You're not going to find that in a book, that story, But that's very much Canal Zone. Very, very much Canal Zone. But anyhow, so let's take a look at some really cool. Let me get this off the screen and get the right one on there. But let's look at some really cool Balboa architecture, because Ricky's got some cool stuff to show you guys here, man.
How about our then we'll do the sponsor at the end. We got to do our sponsor.
Oh, no, you're right. Let's do that first. No, absolutely, brother.
Let's pay the bills. That's why we look so, everything is looking good here, man.
Yeah,
for our sponsors and all our donations, man. Thank you guys, truly, from the bottom of our heart. Look at the full house tonight. Right on, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to really...
Howler Monkey Sauce sent me to the jungles of Panama in search of their new spokesperson, and let's see if we find them.
Hey, listen, you don't need to keep looking for a spokesperson. You found me. I love this Howler Monkey hot sauce.
Wow. Okay, and what's your name?
They call me Gamboa up here in these trees.
Roll camera and action.
This one, the Amarillo, is going to be amazing on chicken. Trust me.
Do you know a howler monkey who can describe the sweet heat of our original with authentic ají chombo peppers, or the fresh punch of verde where habanero warmth meets crisp bell pepper? How about the bold tang of Amarillo, yellow Scotch bonnets blended with mustard seeds? And of course, our hot, the same great flavor as original, with red habaneros for that fire. Our sauces are all natural, no preservatives, gluten-free, pure flavor and pure fire. Are you the next Howler Monkey spokesperson?
There we go. I do like that stinger transition.
I like that. It's gonna be amazing, like our Gamboa says. Well, guys, hello, welcome to our third. Is it third? Yeah, our third architectural show. That's 3 months, and I hope you guys are gonna like this. Like I said earlier, I got a lot of great information from some great sources. So we're gonna start with. Look at that, the town of Balboa, guys. So this is the original design development stage plan of Balboa. So when we look at these town, guys, if you look at these pictures, guys, you have to remember, Balboa didn't just grow beside the canal, but little by little, no. Balboa was the most carefully planned government town of its time. And that's what we're going to talk about in this first phase, guys. So we're going back to like 1910, right? 1910, like we mentioned earlier, Canal's kicking butt. Everything is flying. Things are happening. And then George decides, holy shit, I got to build some towns for all the people that are going to work here. So 1910, he's thinking about it. 1911, he's starting to really get into things. 1912, I guess, is the year he understood the power that he has with what he has been assigned to do. So Willie, what he does, he goes out on his own, as the director of the ICC, and he hires the most, recognized architect of the time, Austin Lord. This guy's from New York City, who also was the dean. He ran the architectural department at Columbia University. In the United States, that's probably the top architectural school.
Heck yeah.
And so this guy was tip top. So Goethals goes and he hires him. He goes, hey, listen, we got to design a town for all these 5,000 or so people that are now going to be living here to operate the canal. Remember, we went from a sea level to a lock. So now we need towns. So, of course, the architect, Austin Lord, it's an architect, we like fluff. We like pretty things. But he's very recognized and he gets hired. And right from first, before I tell you this story, Colonel George Goethals, he was a colonel, but he was also an engineer. Right. He wasn't just an army guy, he was an engineer. And let me tell you, I can tell you I'm 62. Let me see. I started architecture at 40 years of architecture. I can tell you that the one war we always have, aside from city planners, are the engineers.
Which, by the way, guys, Dave Dawson's a city planner.
Our meetings are nothing but war. There's rarely an understanding of any kind. I'm going to tell you why. Architects, we look at buildings, guys, and we'll decorate it, right? An engineer looks at a building. What he sees is a box. First thing he thinks is, how is the foundation going to hold the box? Second thing he's going to think of is, how is the wind not going to knock over my box? And the last thing is, how is the weight of this box not going to just crumble, right? So that's what he does. He makes sure that box holds up. Then the architect comes in, he puts the fluff, right? All the ornamentations and the pretty roofs and all that stuff. So as we already know Goethals, right, and how strict he was, so he questions and he says, well, all the fluff, he goes, someone's got to make it, costs money. B, we need mechanisms to raise these stuff into place, that costs money. C, you have to anchor it, and we have to come up with these details that are going to last forever for that thing not to fall off. That also costs money. And on top of that, that takes time.
Yep.
So he eliminates
and he had this little thing called a Panama Canal to build.
Fluff, right? So
and he had a Panama Canal to build too. So
yeah, Panama Canal to build, right? And he's built it this way already, so he already knows this form works. So of course they're going, they're both very powerful men, but George Goethals had the biggest project in the world going on. So that's why he had the creme of the creme wanting to work for him. Right? The biggest budget going on, the biggest project. So everybody wanted to work for them. So George knew he had that power, but Austin Lord was no push around. So these guys were going at it. So a few months of them going at it, the President of the United States puts out this, the Panama Canal Act, Willie. The Panama Canal Act was a commission set up by the president through the Commission of Fine Arts to report to the president on everything that was going on with the canal, especially the building. Because by this time, really, the locks were almost done. So he was really interested in what it was going to look like, and the reason Willie, why was because remember, the United States at that time was not the premier world power. We were fifth place at best. So it was very important that with the largest project of its time, that the American image was incredibly important to portray to the world that we are here to be a superpower. So
and the eyes of the world were on this project.
And the eyes of the world, everything, you're right about that. So he created the Panama Canal Act to put this commission together. So Goethals takes advantage of that. He goes, oh yeah, okay, cool. Taft, right? Taft was the president at this time.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, why don't you appoint a commission just for the Panama Canal? Come down here and check out what Austin Lord's been doing, what he wants to do. Just give it a little overview and give me your results, right? So president hires two of the top. I mean, you don't get any more top than these two gentlemen. Daniel French and Frederick Law Olmsted. Now, I'm going to tell you who Daniel French is, if you guys don't know. He's a very famous sculptor who did the Lincoln Memorial. Hello. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that, right?
Yeah,
and
no
Frederick
kidding,
Law
man.
Olmsted, this guy designed, the New York Central Park, Boston Emerald necklace, as they call it, Washington,
These guys are in the who's
D.C.
who book of
These guys
American
were the
architects.
Top. So these guys together, those two guys, go to Panama. They go see where they are planning to do everything. They look at the plans. They look at everything. And Austin Lord, at the time, picked the right design concept. He picked the one called City Beautification Movement. This was a reform movement in the architectural world at the time that came out of the 1893 in Chicago Columbia Exposition. So this was like a new, like I said, a reform city movement. Willie, before this, cities were laid out like grids, like New York and a bunch of other ones, right? They're just grids where they go over hills. It didn't matter where they went over. It was a grid, right? And that was it. That's how all the cities were before. This, that's why they call it city beautification, was to add boulevards like the Europeans and trees and grand arcades and things like that. So, a lot of like Washington, D.C.'s designed like that. In the Philippines, one of the places that I love, Baguio and Manila were also designed like that, right? So the design is called, just for the architectural folks out there, is called classic and the architecture has a classical and a Renaissance value of balance and symmetry. And that's what the whole beautification was. But not just using streets, using landscape as well as big buildings. So these two guys, Willie, they go back and they tell the president, hey, everything's good. We like it. I think this is going to work out. So now Goethals is like, darn it, right? All right, let's do it. Let's go. But Austin Lord, Willie, he saw buildings, like civic buildings, connected together. And he saw these great arcades going down El Prado and connecting everybody through these beautiful arcades. He had all this grand vision. So when he saw this project, he saw a monumental architectural composition, right? Oh, I can do all these buildings to create this American image. Where Goethals was, hey, buddy, we're all about cheap, durable, functional, and we want it done quick. So these two guys, man, we just kept fighting. And then, they kept working together. Austin Lord, the architect, and then Austin Lord hired William Phillips to be the landscape architect, right? Because they got to work together. That's what you're seeing there. You're seeing the architecture, which is, the William Lord's work, the streets, the buildings, the layout, and then all the grand landscaping was done by William Phillips, who was a descendant. He worked for Frederick Law. So Frederick Law basically put his number one man on the project, where Daniel French wasn't an architect, but Frederick Law, he put his guy in, William Phillips, to help Austin Lord to come up with that beautiful plan you see there of Balboa, which is 5 square miles. And as you know, Balboa includes a Balboa Heights. It includes, where's my list? It includes the Balboa Flats, La Boca, and the industrial part of the harbors, and then up along the railroad all the way up. So that is the 5 square miles of Balboa. So, guys,
and Ricky's got some maps just later on to show
we're
you
see it all.
Really where you're going to see it all laid out.
So here we are back to the story. All right. So the two top guys going at it every day. It was relentless from what I'm reading. Right. So, the thing was, Willie, this was 1912 that they got the architect on board. So 1913, they did the plans, right? And not only did they do the plans, they also started filling, and they also started the foundation work on some of the bigger structure. So we're talking 1912 plans and approval, 1913 fill and that kind of stuff, and then 1914 they were pretty much done with Balboa. All right, so we're gonna go through that.
And just to give you guys some context for those of you that aren't familiar with this, or for maybe some of our non-Zonian folks in the audience, that area, for example, what you're looking at on the image here, this area here, and that's Ancon in the background. That's Ancon Hill. To the right of this image would be Sosa Hill. That area there was all swamp, and most of it was underwater, or there's big rivers and stuff there. So everything you see there, the ground that this is all built on, was from the Culebra Cut that was dug up to excavate the canal from 1905 all the way through to 1912, 1913, where you are now. That's what's been poured in here little by little to now create an area that now these guys can fight over how they're going to design it here. But that's where that ground came from. That's what, when Ricky said they started to fill, this is what he's talking about. This area here used to be a swamp.
Phil, right. And then at the end, Willie, they because everything's about speed, they used some of the dirt from the Balboa Harbor when they excavated that, and from Diablo Hill, by the way. So Diablo Hill apparently got carved down a lot to help fill that area. So as these two gentlemen were battling it out to get these plans approved and everything going through, there was, Willie, a Zonian that saved the day. They was able to go in there. His name was Samuel Hitt. He was a Zonian architect. He worked for, housing or whatever that was called back then, maintenance division. And he was able to, between the two arguing sides, how to extract the proper solutions from these two guys and created Balboa. So it was actually Samuel Hitt, Hitt, who was able to get these two gentlemen, maybe not to agree, but he was able to extract from them what was required to get on a set of how to put it on a set of plans and how to get it to the contractor. Samuel Hitt was key. And he doesn't get any of the credit.
The Canal Zone,
but if it wasn't for that Zonian, these two gentlemen would have they'd still be fighting today.
Yeah, they would.
So kudos to Samuel Hitt. And then William Phillips, the guy in charge of the landscape, Willie. This guy was working out of an office in New York, in Washington, D.C. So, of course, the Zonians were getting the plans, and they were like, bro, what are these guys thinking about? So just like Samuel Hitt, there was a Zonian landscape architect by the name of Burton Tripp, Tripp. And Burton was able to leave the plan. He didn't change the plans, but what he did was, Willie, he designed, first of all, underground electricity. Hello? That's like people are doing that now, right? Because, Canal Zone started with that right off the bat, right from the gate.
Yeah, see?
Underground electricity. That's why we never had overhead. This guy, Burton Tripp. Second thing he designed that was just phenomenal, the sewer system. Whenever did you see a flood in the Canal Zone when we were growing up? I don't recall any floods.
That is so true. There was never any floods right, Ricky. There was not a street in the zone that I can remember that flooded, unless there was some exceptional reason, if some drainage got plugged or something. But if everything was functioning, you're right, man. There wasn't. We didn't drive through any water.
It was one of the most elite system ever designed. And you know what, Willie? I think they purposely designed it to leave just enough water on our fields for us to go skimboarding. Because skimboarding in the Canal Zone was like nowhere else in the world. We had many fields to go skimboarding on that it was just perfect.
Yep. Yeah, you didn't need to go to the beach for skimboard.
Right. So we started with skimboard and we went to surfing. That's probably why the Zonians were so big on that. So
well,
Burton
little do you
Tripp,
know that one of those architects, his son was a skimboarder, avid skimboarder, so they snuck those plans in there for him.
I got a
Worked that one
feeling
out.
because that's the only flood that I recall. Like you said, there could have been a storm sewer that got plugged up or something. But
right, exactly.
For design reasons, nothing like it till today.
Right
I don't know.
on.
I've never seen pictures of the Canal Zone getting flooded. Burton Tripp, great man. And not only that, Willie, Burton Tripp was responsible for creating this sewer system using contours. So our streets were a lot designed to actually were located where they were, not because it was the proper place for a street to go on, because it was the proper place to drain the water out of that area. So they were like natural swales. So all our towns were designed, other than the El Prado part, were designed around our contours and our what was around you. We didn't cut very much. We built on top, and that's actually a big philosophy of Frank Lloyd Wright. Never built on top of a hill or on top of anything. Built on the sides, so you don't destroy the look of the natural mountain or hill or whatever. So remember that. Never built on the ridge, always on the sides. So guys, that was the dream team. Again, the overlord was our band, George Goltas, Lieutenant George Goltas, who was an engineer. Our top architect, Colonel Austin Lord, top architect, and the two Commission of Fine Arts gentlemen that were assigned by the president were Daniel French, sculptor of the Lincoln Memorial, and Frederick Law Olmsted, landscape designer for one of the most beautiful parks in the United States. The design team, again, Austin Lord architect, William Phillips, landscape architect, and Zonians that made it all work, Samuel Hitt and Burton Tripp. Those two guys deserve a toast for the work they did to get through this design development phase.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed, guys. So basically, that's what wraps up my first part of my segment tonight.
Right on. It's a great introduction to get you to understand what the zone was like.
Of the dream team. So the best way to remember this chapter, guys, is Golfos supplied the authority, Austin Lord supplied the architectural drama, Phillips made it into a town, and the Zonians made it all come alive. So that's what we got from the dream team. All right, so we're going to move in now to the construction. So, guys, back to the timelines. So, because this is very important that we know the timelines. 1912, Austin Lord begins the architectural work, what they call a program. 1913, all the town planning starts to advance and all the structural works begins on the administration building as well as the El Prado area. But Willie, this is what's interesting. You know who were the first homes built in this stage? The 10 concrete houses on Tabernilla. Those were the first ones before El Prado. So,
really?
Yeah, so you go up
to
the
ones going
Tabernilla.
up the hill there towards St. Mary's Church.
Yeah, the ones that go up. There's 10 of them.
Ah, how about that?
And those were the very first ones before El Prado. Those first concrete, because they had wood, temporary. Those were the first, yes. So April of 1914 is when it was no longer ICC and it became the Canal Zone government. So now Golfos was the governor. So now he really had all the power. I mean, he already had all the power. And July 15th is when all the buildings, all the employees started going into the administration building. So you're talking from 1912 to August 15th of 1914. That's only 2 freaking years, Willie. They planned it, filled it, compacted, put all the infrastructure in, and started building buildings in 2 freaking years, man. That is as unbelievable as the Panama Canal.
Well, but that kind of, you and I were chatting about that earlier tonight. This is where I think the other effectiveness of Teddy Roosevelt that last chief engineer, he made him a military person. The first dude had resigned and kind of really irritated him. And he said, I'm going to put in a military person there because they can't resign. You know, this is the post that they're being appointed to.
No, you needed that effort.
The thing that does, though, is it gives you somebody that now runs, you know, I mean, if there's one thing that the military is really, really good at, in addition to killing people, it's logistics. Okay, they can move things around the world, equipment, I mean, you name it, and build, you know, they really can run a big operation like that. And so it made sense to have, you know, Colonel Goethals here running this show because, you know, at the end of the day, for him, this was a military-style operation is the only way to make it run. And that's, to Ricky's point, you know, we've always talked about this Canal Zone being a very controlled environment. And that's very much, you know, in the playbook of the military. I mean, that's very much about the military.
Unbelievable task, guys.
Yeah.
So let's go through the pictures and I'll tell you. So we're looking there. That's about 1914, what you're looking at there. Actually, the it looks more like 1915 because that's when they did finish all the El Prado homes were done by 1915. People were starting to move in. And this is taken from, I would say, Sosa Hill, right, Willie? Yeah, Sosa Hill for sure. It looks kind of left of Sosa Hill. That's an interesting shot. Did they have drones back then? No, just kidding. Willie, I don't know. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I had muted for a second there. No, you know what? The angle of it is the admin, those steps are almost head on from Sosa Hill. This almost looks like, I mean, unless it's some kind of a really high resolution image from across, you know, on the West Bank, it would almost be something almost like even a balloon or something that because it's obviously it's elevated to a certain level.
Yeah, and it's to left of Sosa. So you're probably right. It was probably
you're
a
almost
balloon
over
or something.
the port of Balboa almost because right in front, that field in front there is Balboa Stadium. Right? And somebody even mentioned the shoe
somebody
store.
posted here. No, of course, he's a smart man.
Yeah.
A crane. Definitely from a crane.
Oh,
yes.
There you go. That's what it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank
That
you.
totally makes sense.
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's elevated, but that's the angle you can see there. You can see that's the early trees of that Roosevelt Boulevard, that was a beautiful drive afterwards, you know, during our era, because they were all full-grown trees, but you had that almost like a tunnel of trees going down Roosevelt there.
Roosevelt Boulevard, yes. And that,
very cool.
Yeah. So all that you see there is part of Balboa.
Yeah.
And everything in there. All right, let's go to the next one. The next picture, another shot of Balboa. What year is that? 1920.
This is almost a reverse angle of what you were just looking at.
Reverse angle. You're right. So you could probably see the crane. Yeah, you can see the crane where they took that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting because there's the backstop of the ballpark. Trees are a little bit bigger on Roosevelt, as you can see there.
Yeah, 1920. So the trees are starting to come up. The ballpark's already in. The Roosevelt trees are starting to look a little bit better. So Balboa by 1920 was pretty much humming. Guys, this is built. I mean, no one builds a town that fast. Forget about it. Nobody. Yeah. Nobody. Ain't nowhere in the world.
Yeah, because look, El Prado, the houses are all done in El Prado.
And those years to think to put everything on the ground. And, you know, my God, it's just amazing, man.
But you know what? You think about this, though. You know, this will explain how you can and why you could pull this off in this place. You're in an area where these guys just spent the last 12 years or whatever, just huffing and puffing to build this canal, man. And just so for them, a operation, a structured project like that, they're like, give it to us. We got this. What do you need? You know, and they did it, man. They threw together an amazing looking town out of what was a swamp just a few years earlier. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
It's unbelievable. And then, Willie, let's talk about the workforce a little bit. You know, as we always hear about the workforce, because the workforce actually is the glory behind everything, including, you know, for them talking about the canal digging, etc., but including Balboa. So the way it was broken down, Willie, was Balboa, the workforce for the canal. First of all, guys, Balboa was designed, the housing was designed per where you worked. Like El Prado and Balboa Heights were assigned for admin building workers. And admin building workers, guys, were, believe it or not, it was like this. All your architects, engineers, you know, supervisors were American. Then all your office workers, all your your lawyers, your CPA, bookkeepers, draftsmen, secretaries, all that were Panamanian. That's where the Panamanian workforce came in. And that's why El Prado had so many Panamanians. Because my family lived in El Prado, De Lucas, Benioff, Cazorla, Tinker, all El Prado, all Panamanians. And then Balboa Flats, Willie, La Boca were for the folks that worked in the train station, the terminals, and the ports. Those guys lived there because they were closer. Because remember, where La Boca is where all the ports were. And that's the way Balboa was laid out. It was by where you worked. And of course, if you worked in an office, you're going to make more money than if you were a laborer.
Sure.
So, right. So,
and you think about it, it makes sense because I can't imagine that a whole lot of people in 1918, 1919 living in Balboa own cars. So it would make sense to put the workforce near the housing near the workforce's employment areas because it's easier to commute back and forth.
Yes, and Austin Lord designed a lot of arcades for that reason. So the whole El Prado was supposed to be covered, so you can walk rain or shine up and down. But of course, our colonel was like, "No way, we're going to do arcades.
Right.
We don't need that. We're men here. If you can't walk in the rain, you're whatever." So back to Balboa. Let's look at some more pictures.
No, and interesting point that Nodia is bringing up about the Balboa train station, which obviously has been in the news a lot recently, that it was built by a Panamanian. Interesting. Very nice.
Okay,
which is another reason why they should be prprotecting that heritage, right?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Yes. Well, most of Balboa was actually built by the housing division, our maintenance division.
Sure.
They didn't really go and get many contractors. They got a lot of laborers, but not many contractors. It was pretty much done by Canal's own forces. Everything.
True.
Everything that you're going to be seeing built was Canal's own forces. Well, there's a picture of Albra, guys, and listen, you can see the swamp area that needed to be filled, right? And then you can see a hill with an X on it. That's where the admin building is. That looks like two breasts,
amazing.
actually.
It really does. I guess they probably had to shave that down and bring it down because that curved road kind of remains the same. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the road that went down to catch the train station.
Yeah. And then that's the two houses are kind of where like the lieutenant governor's house is.
Yeah.
And the governor's house is. Yep.
Wow.
And then there's that
amazing.
flat area. You can see the flat area down there by on the other side of the train station, past the train station.
Yeah. And the top there you can see where the river actually goes. That Corunda River that we talked about.
Yeah.
And where that jump is on Gaylord Highway that we used to always go to was where that, where they had to, push the river under. Because that river's still there. Believe it or not, that actually is still a river. It's just obviously very small, but it still dumps out into the canal over there.
It's and Willie, you see the little hill? You see how the road goes up the hill? That's Diablo Hill. That got shaved down to fill that area.
It sure did. That's right. They did. That's
Yep.
right. They did. That's what you were just talking about there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Diablo
What
Hill
a
was
great
used for
look that
fill.
is.
Incredible
What a great,
pictures,
great
man.
look that is.
Incredible,
Yeah, no
incredible
doubt,
pictures. And this is same. Oh, that's looking at La Boca. That's the end of La Boca there.
Yeah, that's almost as if the camera panned to the left. Because it's
Sosa
looking at
Hill's
the
on the
left side
right.
of Sosa Hill. Yes,
Yeah, because
exactly.
you can see the tanks. You can see La Boca Road going into Old La Boca.
Yeah, straight past that would eventually become Rodman on the other side of the water.
That's La Boca Road. No, we to the right, puppy. Across from that
Rodman?
would probably be the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. No?
Well, the Thatcher's on the end of the... yeah, exactly.
Oh, you're
Well,
right. That
all
would be Rodman. Yes, you are right.
That little inlet there. That's where they built it.
because the bridge would be on the left-hand side of that picture.
Correct. Where that boat is. It's coming in the picture there. That's where the ferry would be, the Thatcher Ferry.
Yeah. Incredible.
That is so cool. Look at this. The bridge across the Corunda River was originally supposed to be the east toe of the Sosa Dam that was never built.
That is correct.
Okay. Very interesting.
The dam, yeah, you talked about it. You talked about that dam. That we were supposed to dam that on the original design.
Right where Balboa is, right where the flats are. That was all going to be dammed up.
Yeah, the traditional buildings of Balboa that were built, Willie, during this early time were the admin building, the train station, which now they're going to destroy. I hope they never do, because it's part of the original Balboa, the commissary, the dispensary, if you remember the dispensary in front.
Sure.
The clubhouse, Balboa Stadium, Balboa School, and Union Church. Those were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 original buildings. And then, of course, El Prado. All the El Prado.
Lake Panama. Yeah, no doubt. It would have created Lake Panama.
It would have been a Panama.
You ended up with Gatun Lake and said you would have had Lake Panama. That's true. That's true.
So true. Right. Wow. God, how different life would have been by that decision. Right on. Yeah. No, who made that decision? Was it the first guy?
It was Stevens. Stevens is the one that finally convinced him to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then Goethals came in and said, "All right, let me I'll straighten this shit out here. Here we go. This is how we're gonna do it."
Yeah. Now everything we're looking at, guys, remember, you're gonna see it finished, and it was a 2-year period. Like right there, you don't see. Look at the Balboa Flats. There's no roads, no nada.
Sure.
There's still,
and it's interesting how the zone over time has evolved, because what Ricky's covering tonight is going to be this early construction period, but down the road somewhere we're going to go back to Balboa, guys, because it changed radically, and so did that La Boca area you're looking at there. A whole different area it became later on as we grew up to know. But what you see there is, even the roads, like they did in Balboa, totally ripped everything out and started over. Really everything on the other side of Barnaby Street, they totally started over.
Yep. Those excavations, I bet you those grading companies are all Panamanians. There's more Balboa flats, Las Cruces, Carr Street, Owen Street. You can see La Boca real clearly there.
Yeah, and on that Las Cruces Street, Ricky, when you look at the end of it there, what do you see all the way at the end of it, up at the top? That big white building.
That's the commissary.
That's it. That's the Balboa commissary.
And you can see right next to it, the clubhouse. And
that's another one of those original buildings that stayed there and has always been there, was that commissary. They changed the inside of it, but that was that same building, that same big building, concrete building was there from the day.
And the one behind it. The one behind it is also part of the commissary.
Sure.
The commissary was pretty big. That'd be another great building to talk about. But you can see Tavernia, the 10 concrete houses up there. The old G's.
Originals, exactly. That's exactly what they are. That's exactly. And this whole area, the roads you see there are not the roads that we grew up and running around in that area there. They're not.
Yeah, the electrical substation was
Las
also.
Cruces would have been, but that was it.
Yep. Electrical substation. That wasn't on the list, but I'll check it out, baby. It makes sense that they should be there originally, because we need that to run this town. Dale para el próximo. That's a great shot, though, by the way, from Ancon Hill. That's Quarry Heights. Looking at,
and here they pan back right again.
Corundu. You can see Corundu up there.
I'll tell you, you know what's interesting? Sorry, Ricky, but I just spotted something that I noticed. When I focus on all the construction parts, and one of the focuses has always been the fact that this ended up being a railroad operation, and you see it extends all the way to here. I mean, this is halfway up Ancon Hill, and you see lines and lines of rail track. I mean, they everything was rail in the Canal Zone. For the first 20 years, man, it was rail lines absolutely everywhere, man. That's incredible.
They had a streetcar that went from Panama to Balboa.
Yes, through La Boca, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because my mom told me she took that when she was a little girl.
That's crazy.
That was into the 40s and 50s, actually.
Wow, that's amazing. Look at that.
Balboa Heights was all wood.
Yeah.
And then they changed most of it.
What a great view, man. These are great pictures that somebody captured, thank God.
Yeah. I mean, I've been downloading from years, so I can't really tell you exactly who to give credit to, but definitely Edith, definitely Canal Zone Images, definitely Facebook and Instagram, and everybody that does that,
100%. 100%. Yeah,
I knew that
absolutely.
someday I would be doing this. Who knew that we actually got here? But here we are. All right, well, what else we got? That's a great picture, though. That's probably like 1917 around there, 1915.
Yeah,
because the admin building looks completed, and that would have been 19.
Yeah, admin building's completed, and looked like Noyer pointed out at the end, right behind it down there, is a train station. So they've gotten that far at least.
Yep.
Interesting. Look at that. Wow. All right.
Another shot.
Okay.
You can see the I call it the fire station there.
Fire station. That's another one of
That
your
wasn't
OG
on the list
buildings
either,
there.
but that looks like it was an original, so that should have been on the list. Fire station, yeah.
Well,
so
and
the
you think
substation,
about it,
fire station, probably. You know what, Willie? I think it was like the main building because I was looking at residential clubhouses and such, not the industrial buildings. So that's probably why that list didn't come out like that. But yeah, you can see they're working right there on the El Prado on the park area. Fail going on.
Well, and you know, it makes sense that you would make that fire station first because you don't want to be building something and catch fire and not be able to put it out. Right?
Yeah,
protect
there's
your
a good story about those stairs right there, and Austin Lord and Gothos. So Austin Lord actually designed those stairs to go all the way straight down. Right? You see how it would go right into that little courtyard there, little park there.
Right.
Well, at that time they had already planned that they were going to do a monument there, but there just wasn't any money. Right? Plus Gothos, Gothos is not going to spend money on a monument, right?
No,
but they knew they were going to. So Gothos goes, all right, we're going to change your design now because we're going to do a monument there in the future. Of course, that's what did it for Austin Lord. He effed the Canal Zone. That was it. He couldn't handle it anymore. And he quit. Or he got fired. I don't know what exactly happened. So they brought in another New York City architect with a humongous name. And he shows up and he's going to come bully Gothos and he's going to show him how architects can handle things, right? Gothos looks at his freaking plans full of fluff and he's like, you know what? F you. You're out of here too, man. And you know what? We're just going to turn it into a ramp. That was Gothos. Turn it into a ramp. Who built those stairs with a ramp? Has that appeared anywhere that you've ever seen in your life? No. Stairs. No. You don't have a big old ramp like that. So that is how Gothos was. He hated architects, but I'm sure I would have been more like Sammy Hitt and got him the.
He's like, I got a damn canal and a town to build here. I don't, if you guys can't figure it out, you know what? Put a ramp and be done with it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot quicker to build and pour concrete on a ramp. Do it. Done.
Yeah.
Next.
But that ramp is a change order. In other words, that was in the original design. He even changed that, and that's what Austin Lord said. That's enough, man. You don't need me. Why do you have me here for? You change everything.
That's your military angle right there. You're like, you know what? That's probably better to drive a tank up there. Let's build that way.
He probably was thinking the ramp to get the tanks up there, protect the lower part.
Military, man. That's the way they think. It's all we got to be practical.
Exactly, practical, durable. Here's another shot.
This is interesting. Let's see if let's figure out. Okay, so from the admin looking southeast. So think about what you're looking at there, right? Because and again, look, there's rail lines right through the middle of that. Okay, that in the background is Sosa Hill, right?
Yep.
And you got your first Tavernillas up there. And interesting what those smokestacks are. I'm not really sure what those are.
Back at I don't know either. Maybe to make concrete or something. Because you got to burn the ash.
Be a temporary facility.
Yeah.
Because
1914. Yeah, this is when they were just hauling buns to get everything done. Because remember, August 5th, the admin building was just about to open.
Yeah.
10 days
so
later.
That's El Prado right there you're looking up. So you notice that the clubhouse isn't done yet?
No, the clubhouse at the end. It's there. I mean, it's being built. Clubhouse opened December of 14. So the clubhouse was being built at the time.
Okay.
Power plant.
And here we go. The smokestack is the original power plant.
Okay, who's Zonian 66? Let us know who your name are. It's got to be a good friend of ours because I'm 63. 66. Here's another good point that he brings up. I like this point. Each level of stairs is 27 2/3 feet high, bringing the height of the admin building total to 85 feet. Sound familiar? That's got to be the height of the...
Wow. That's the depth of the height of the Gatun Lake.
Uh-huh.
It raises you 85 feet.
Design. That's Austin Lord. That's not Gothos. That's Austin Lord.
Bob
That's the
Dylan,
architectural drama.
Dylan. Good to see you, man.
Bob Dylan, right on.
Yes, right on.
Is that Bob Dylan's
Good to see you,
son?
bro.
Oh, you know Bob Dylan?
Yeah. Bob Dylan's a good guy.
All right, Bob. Good to meet you, my friend. And you're welcome any day. And the more comments, the better.
So now think about this.
Sorry, Willie. Yeah, there you go.
No, you're good. think about this view here. Okay, so you see El Prado going up that way, but you're looking at it again. Here's my obsession with the railroad tracks. Okay, they're going at that angle there. Okay, that is part of what's going to be sort of kind of Barnaby Street is where those railroad tracks go.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. That is.
And that
Barnaby.
heads all the way up to go like to Amador and dump all that stuff out there. So these are the directions they were going to, coming, I guess, from Culebra and all that area prior, of course, all this stuff being built there. But, even to the buildings to the right of where El Prado is, right? It looks like what would have been the school or the courthouse. Look, there's another rail line there that's curving out that way.
But Barnaby, you can see Barnaby, the concrete on the left of the railroad track. Because look, if you count the El Prado, there's 5 buildings on either side. There's only 4 there.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because right where the railroad tracks is where my house is going to be.
Right, where your house and Casorla's house would be. Yes.
Yep.
So there's still one more house because there's 5 on either side of El Prado. So that's 1914. This is
such a different place, man. And the beginning of the Balboa schools being built there. You can see all the pylons on the left there, on the left edge.
Yes. Dale, sigue.
Wow. What a great picture.
I know, man. I know. Some of them had writing on the bottom. So, the ones with writings come from Edith's book. That's Sosa Hill.
That's the same view, dude.
No, that's La Boca. That's La Boca.
No, that's the same view. Watch when I go back. That's the same view.
Oh,
look at the hill. Look at the hill.
Oh, there you go. There's El Prado. So that's when they're
they first started it. Now you can see the power plant very clearly there too.
Yes, you can. They're excavating and compacting El Prado. You can see the trucks there on one of the El Prado sides on the right side. Wow, what year was that? Does it say 1914 March?
Picture 1914.
Bro, March. The picture before that was August.
So look at that. That's
in
August.
6 months. Look how
not even 6 months.
Bro, that is
April, May, June, July. Oh yes,
man.
5 months, 6 months. That's incredible.
And those buildings are still there, still strong. So they weren't built Timu. That was an old Timu construction.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
That shit, that ain't coming down with no earthquake, man. Forget about it. That was Zonian architects. Okay, wow.
Yeah. And this is in that book that Edith Barkowitz book, Edith Crouch Barkowitz,
100%
Architecture of the Panama Canal Zone, an incredible book, guys. Look it up on Amazon. Amazing book.
Every penny.
No doubt about it.
You will read it many, many times. Good morning from
Akira,
Japan.
Good morning to you.
All right,
Yes.
right on. I love that. Right on, sir.
Yes.
Japan. Oh, we love Japan.
6 months before. That is incredible, man. Amazing that speed, that progress. But remember, even during construction, they were setting records, and they were competing about how fast you could get that, you could excavate that area, dig that out and whatnot. And I imagine we're going to learn later on, and as they start pouring concrete now, it was the same thing. They were probably setting records of how much cubic yards were being poured and, what structures were being built in record time. And then the same thing, they probably moved that same concept into building Balboa. How fast can you get each one of these buildings done? Because look, in 6 months, they had that thing like that. That's amazing.
And Willie, the architectural details that did survive were all made in the Canal Zone. None of it was shipped in. Nada. Right. All made by Canal's own hands.
Right. And these are concrete buildings, mind you. Okay, these aren't wooden ones.
Hey, look right there. It's on eBay right now, $75. I would jump on it, guys. Totally jump on it. That's the same picture.
Great deal. It's a fantastic book. Fantastic book. All right. So now this one, and this is even earlier now.
Yeah,
this is January, beginning of the year.
Look at, and then by the end of the year, they opened it. By August 15th,
right?
Just like the canal, or was it August 1st? They opened it.
And that's a steel frame they're putting up there.
That's why, because it was a steel frame building.
Yep.
And it wasn't, they already had high rises that were steel frame, but this type of construction, speed, panels, pre-made stuff, that was one of the first ones ever. And that, because again, Goethals and speed, man, that was the whole Canal Zone thing, speed. Everything was speed related. Now, Willie, look at the hill. See how the hill was carved almost up and down? So where we slid down in cardboards or rode down in our bicycles, that was filled in and layered afterwards.
Correct.
So that had to be another Austin Lord thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that rail line. So that rail line, it goes all the way to the back, all the way to the end there, and it starts turning to the left, over to the left edge there, and that's where it's probably heading out to the dig sites.
Yeah,
and that's why they were bringing in all the spill, all that spoil.
And where that structure is where the train station.
Yeah, and look at how many rail lines they have inside. There's a big rail yard there.
Yep.
What a great picture. That's awesome.
It's awesome, man. Look at that.
Look at that.
Jesus.
I wonder what those tarps are. I have a feeling
at that point they were still going to come all the way down because I don't see none of the lateral stuff on there.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. But then you see that tarp in the center there. I wonder if that's to mix maybe during rainy season or something. Because think about this time frame. They started in January.
No. You always put between concrete and dirt. There's always a what they call a visqueen. And it protects from water because water is the only thing that goes up, and it protects the water from coming up. Then? Yes.
Okay.
Could be that.
Interesting.
That's what I would say.
It could be. Yeah. No, you're right.
And it could also be a tarp to protect the workers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because they have them on the side there, and you got to think about they started this in January, and at this point, if they completed it in August, this is in the middle of the rainy season right here.
You know what, Willie? You're right. That's probably what it is. Also, you can't pour concrete. Has to be poured at certain temperatures. So it probably was too hot, and they needed it to pour. And so that's probably what that is, cuz. As you can see. That's about the time Lord is like, F it, I quit, man. You screwed up my design.
You probably would have used canvas like water, like Boy Scouts. Yeah, there you go. That's right. Be prepared. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
So there's another view. Now, here's what's interesting, because this view now also, Ricky, it's capturing the quarry buildings here that they use to process the rock and stuff.
Yes,
and then you see that line, that curved rail line there is the one that went right in front of Balboa Elementary School that eventually went behind it, wasn't it?
Let me see.
That becomes that road there because look where it ends up going down towards El Prado in that area.
Yeah, this is 1914. You can easily tell because El Prado's still not completely done.
Yeah, right. Barnaby's not done. The rail line's still going through there.
Yeah, rail line's still going through there. So early.
But this is up on Ancon Hill, looking down from the quarry down there. Remember, they had that factory that Dave was telling us about, where they're processing all the rock going down out of Quarry Heights.
You know what else I don't see?
Because they had that rail line.
I don't see the clubhouse either. So the clubhouse wasn't even brought in yet.
That's what I'm saying. When we saw that earlier shot, I didn't think I saw it back there yet.
Yeah, you're right. So the clubhouse came in, lickety split. They put it up in less than a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the exact year of this picture, but I don't see the clubhouse. I see Balboa.
Well,
I don't see the commissary either. You can see the commissary under construction.
Correct. Yes, you can see just the frame is going up right there.
Yeah.
And once you hit, June, July, August, at that point, but also think about what a lot of that prior workforce is doing now. Most of your digging and construction's over, right? You're doing some finishing touches now, but in August, you already have a ship, the Ancon, going through there. So, the 60, 70, 80, 90% of your construction on the canal itself is done. And unless you've sent all these people home, you got a lot of people to start, putting up a town really, really fast. Because if you look at it there's 5 buildings going up at the same time. It's not one at a time. They're throwing them all up as quick as they can.
Nowadays they would just use multiple contractors. This is all Zonian, Zonian mano de obra. Yeah, you got it.
These guys have been working concrete in Miraflores, Pedro Miguel, and Gatun for the last.
Exactly. These guys are experts.
They're doing it also in the Atlantic side, probably too.
Yeah, remember we got this question asked of us: what church was there with the clubhouse? There was a picture of a church and the clubhouse together, by the way. So the clubhouse went right next to it. Does everybody know what church that was? My guess was St. Mary's, and then it moved up the hill. That would be my guess.
That's what I'm thinking.
But that's a good question. Everybody knows. You can see the church there too.
Yeah, you can see it at the top corner there. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest building on that road until they started putting these houses up. That was Bill McLaughlin from CC Images that brought up that question.
Yeah, that brought that question.
Which,
and look at
where these pictures are from.
Look at Karunda River, man. Look powerful. It's not there anymore, is it? I don't recall any.
It goes underground. It's all underneath. It goes under the runway. It's there. The river's there. They didn't stop the river because it's still up there in the other area.
And it still goes out to the canal, all underground.
Yes, it sure does. It sure does.
Oh,
but it's very small. It's a stream, really, but it is nonetheless.
It's still there, nonetheless.
But the interesting thing is that this area here, and this is where the name Quarry Heights came from, is you're looking down at the quarry area there, and those buildings there is where they're crushing up the rock. They're dumping it down from there onto that conveyor that goes down the hill there below it and loads onto rail cars, which would follow down that rail line we saw in the previous picture and go out to the canal, because the rock they were using there was used for the cement they were making for pouring in Miraflores and Pedro Miguel. And that's where it was coming from, was Quarry Heights. The Ancon Hill was all green all the way around until they took that side of the face and they shaved it off because there was a bunch of really good rock to use there. And that's where the name Quarry Heights came from.
And look, there's a dredge there, Willie.
Yes. At this point now, you were dredging more than anything else. There was very little,
dredge that harbor
anymore. That's it.
The river crosses under Diablo Road and on the north side of Section I.
Okay.
Oh, you read my mind. Wait, that estaba bueno, Willie. That estaba bueno.
Yeah.
Tavernia. Tavernia was like the heights, like Balboa Heights. This was like elite.
Yeah. Yeah, the hills have always had that, your money goes uphill, I guess, which makes sense because of flooding. If anything, the people with the money are the ones that want to live, right? So,
and look at all the landscaping, by that famous designer, man, Phillips, William Phillips. Excellent. Oh, that's a good shot there. You can see the old Balboa Elementary that David taught us just the other day, and right next to it you can see the structure Balboa School going up.
Correct.
So that was definitely 1915 because El Prado.
No, that's not Balboa School going up. That's actually the last building on El Prado, the last house.
No, remember Balboa School was brought.
No. Look at across the street from it. That's the grass right there. That's the last building. Think about it. In between those two school buildings and that building you see, that's those two roads. Look at El Prado where the grass goes to it. That's the last building.
Oh, yeah, because if you count the houses, there's only four. You see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's the last house. Yep. And then Balboa Elementary School moved over, and then didn't last much longer.
The other thing that's completely gone now is the railroad. The rail line's all gone.
Yeah, it's all gone, yes. And you can see Barnaby Street, and you can see the flats on the left, but they still hadn't built the flats yet. So this is 1915. Clubhouse is
the power
in
plant's
now.
Still there. Yes, it is. Look at it; it's intact. That's like the cap to the other side of the admin. For El Prado is the clubhouse. Yeah, but this lined up perfectly. It is perfectly lined up with El Prado.
Yep, absolutely, and that's to commemorate the construction of the original canal. Now, this picture.
What's the significance to this? Because there's something special here you mentioned about this to me.
Okay. One of the things Austin Lord wanted to do on his design was to represent what the canal zone was. So he envisioned to the right, of where to locate the admin building. He envisioned to the right jungle and to the left metropolis. And that is what represented the canal zone, an American town in the tropics. So part of his design when they were looking at it was what he saw. Panama on the left, jungle on the right. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why this site was located.
Sure. And that's what this picture kind of exemplifies it. It sure
exemplifies that. Yep. Yeah. Jungle on the right, city on the left.
Be nice if it had two flags. Sits right American there. Flag, but it is nice. Yeah.
So that's during our time. Yeah, that's before 79. That's kind of what the houses look like today. Unfortunately, they're not really maintained as well as they should.
Yeah, the one real big, the two things that stick out the most are, of course, the metal bars, which looks horrible, and then the fact that they're all enclosed in the bottom because that was always open.
That was all, and it's for a reason, to keep the house cold. because
Correct.
when the breeze goes underneath, it keeps
100%.
the funny about these designs, Willie, was elevated for the breeze, and then they had wood floors. If you recall, all these homes had wood floors, and the reason why, Willie, is because wood the breeze can go up wood floors. If there were concrete floors, it would never ventilate.
Sure, exactly. Just hold heat.
Yeah, so that capturing that wind underneath would make the floors cool, and you would get some stuff coming up through it. That's why we had wood floors. This design, particularly these designs.
Yeah,
the screen porches was big. This is all Lord. His main thing here. I got that written down here somewhere. His main design concepts were what we all already knew about Canal Zone architecture: was screen porches, large windows, high ceilings, because we had 10-foot ceiling heights.
Sure did. Yeah,
broad
look at the windows,
roof
how high they go.
overhangs, and raised wood frame flooring.
Yeah,
and basically
you can see the
all
overhang
his
there
houses.
over the balcony on the one there that's right above that stop sign. You can see that it overhangs a good distance, so you're not getting the water just dropping on top of you there. You can actually stand out there and watch the rain.
Oh, wait a second. You know what? That's Enterprise and El Prado. That's where I lived. That's my old house.
That's what I assume when I saw
on
this.
the
I
left
assumed that you put it
side.
because it was your
bottom
house.
left. That's where I grew up as a kid.
Wasn't that the window that your sister fell out of?
The middle one, yeah. They blame me. They said I pushed her out. Sorry, Lourdes, if I did that, man. I was only one, I guess, or two. Yeah, then my room was the one in the right corner there. Wow.
Oh, look at McGee's got a recent video of the inside. Cool. Right on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, share that, man. We'll definitely throw that out
there. It's
there.
too bad that they look like that. But hey, they don't. Someday they're going to realize how important Balboa is and then give it the proper love that it deserves.
We all Zonians stick together there.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. Red Excursion, Balboa Drive. Okay, interesting. That would be interesting to see.
A lot of Balboa, a lot of that area of Balboa was filled in with from the Balboa Harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, Diablo Hill too. Vamos para el próximo. So they've survived the test of time. They see the red roofs. That's all. Everything you see red roof, Austin Lord.
Yep. And these are the OGs. These are the OG buildings you're seeing there.
Tavernilla, right up on the top.
The Tavernilla 10. We'll call them the Tavernilla 10. Those are the OGs.
Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there they are. 10. You can count them.
Tavernilla 10.
Not the one on Balboa Road. That's not that one. The one behind Balboa Road.
No. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. What a beautiful. That had to be during our time.
What a beautiful place to grow up, man. What an absolute fabulous place to grow up, man. Fantastic place.
There's our map. There's our map of Balboa, if you guys all remember it.
So now, real quick, look at this map here for just a second. The top middle section in particular. Okay? Because I'm going to back up just a moment if I can.
Yeah, and let's talk about the expansions now that we have the maps up.
Yeah, but
we already know the original Balboa, El Prado, and whatnot.
You're absolutely right.
Let's talk about the expansions. So, Willie, in 1917...
There,
right there.
Okay, so now we'll go back to your map, and then we can go back to it.
Yeah. So mark where that is. So that's that area up there. I don't know if your pointer works.
Yeah, that's right in the top center section. Yeah,
that area right there was the first expansion in 1917, and La Boca all the way down. So there and all the way down on the left, 1917. That was the first expansion, and they built 163 units there, and that was to house Canal Zone permanent workers that worked in the docks, worked in the shops, worked in the terminals. That's where they lived, in that area. Yep. That's the industrial area there, Willie. Section, I forgot what that. Well, that's what the maintenance division was. That's what all the architects of those guys were. Section I. Right. All right. So that's the flat. So 163 units, a lot of wood. That's where Las Cruces.
Well, but now keep in mind, this map here though is of the modern times, because you see the bridge there, the Thatcher Ferry over here. But when I'm looking at that top center area, look at the shape of the roads. Okay, look at the direction these roads go in. This is what we grew up in. Okay, this is what we grew up running around in and all that in Balboa. But this is what it was back then. See, they all had those like concentric circles. Okay, inside them, it was a different layout, but it's the same exact area. So they didn't just take the houses and tear them down and put up new modern houses. They uprooted everything, the roads and everything, and said, let's just start this thing from scratch.
Well, no, these were the original. In 1970, they were the wood houses, and then they redid it later. But first,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. But it wasn't just the houses they redid. They redid the entire town in that section there. Because again, if you go back to here, look at the map, the way this road Las Cruces goes. Okay, and look at the two roads in between there. Okay, they go in opposite directions and turns here. When you look at this, they're all loops. They're all.
Oh yeah, they were reconfigured for sure. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, they were definitely reconfigured.
They took everything out. They took the roads out and everything and said, start over. And they built a whole new section of town there. It was a whole new suburb they built there. With new roads and new everything. In fact, it may not even been Las Cruces Street at that time. It may have been something else back then.
Okay, El Prado was built for the admin workers. And that's probably why they wanted to do that one first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Quick access and just walk up the sidewalk there and climb up to the office.
You're talking just 2 years after El Prado was done. They started building the flats. And then they started putting there. Then Willie, in 1920, was the first time they extended. And they call it the suburbs, which was Amador Road. And that went all the way out to the sea. Another 163 units were built.
Well, here's that first flats. Expansion back here. There you go.
There you go. There it is. There's the flats.
Yeah.
And Willie, notice they got fireplaces. I mean, chimneys. The houses have chimneys.
They sure do.
That's because how they cooked. All the houses had
chimneys.
Yeah,
coal burning stoves. Interesting. That's true, because that's something you never would think about, having chimneys down there. But I guess everybody, I would imagine even in Panama it was the same thing, because everybody had to cook on a fire, when it's a thing as electricity.
So that's Morgan. And then that's Las Cruces Street, all lined with the trees, right?
Yeah.
On the left? Yeah.
Yeah. If it was Las Cruces Street back then, yes, but eventually that's what it would become. That's the one road that seems to have stayed intact, because it crossed over Barnaby and crossed into, eventually it veers off into El Prado, by the post office. Interesting.
And then ends there at the commissary. You can almost see it going to the commissary there.
Yeah.
That looks like Balboa Heights to me.
Yeah, this is one that's interesting. We'd like to figure out if somebody is familiar with this photograph in this area.
1915.
Yep. It could be Balboa Heights. It could also be the Ancon area. You know what else it could be? Is across the street from La Boca. Up on the hill, they had some houses there.
Yeah, you're right. On Sosa. They had houses on Sosa. Could be that.
Yeah.
On the side of Sosa.
That might be Sosa to the right of us.
But I'm sure they were playing either Ringolevio there, Kick the Can, one of those two.
I love it. That's it. Zonian kids running around, man. 1915.
1915,
I love it. Let's see what Bob says. You have pictures of the bullet holes in St. Mary's Church after the invasion. Yeah, that's
St. Mary's.
Yeah, you shoot a church, man. Come on. The map is before they tore down the old wooden 6 or 12 family buildings behind the Elks Club. They replaced them with the concrete 70s. Okay, so let's go back to
that's Williamson's place. We'll talk about that. Yeah, so 1920 Amador Road, 163 units. And all that now is, basically that is like the workers lived out there, right? Where El Prado was more the executives. And so that area,
blue collar and white collar.
Yeah, that remember the police station area, the police station? Well, that used to be called the Balboa Restaurant. That was actually a restaurant, the police station.
Right.
Yeah, and then St. Mary's School, if you remember St. Mary's School was a community house, back in the day.
It was?
And then, and then the St. Mary's bought it and took it. Yeah, it used to be a community house. And then, really, what was around from back then? The Yacht Club. So the Yacht Club has been part of the Canal Zone. Oh, the door of the area, the Zonian engineers with President Taft.
Yeah.
They don't name any of the other guys, but in there, Smith Hit's got to be one of those guys. And you see Gothos is there. And Tripp, it's got to be one of those guys as well.
There's your favorite.
Oh, look, there. That was the picture I couldn't find last time we talked about the clubhouse. But that's the modern clubhouse, which in my opinion was beautiful. That's the one I remember the most. It was just so modern and so cool. I loved it, man, as a kid.
Yeah,
I wasn't
It
too
was nice.
like missing the old one at all.
No, what? No. I don't remember the old one. In all honesty, I know it was there, and I was in that area, but I think I was too young. I remember this one, and it was a relaxing place to eat and hang out, watch cars go by or whatever, and just hang out with friends and whatever. It was cool. It was a great place. Look at what Miggy asked here. Which town or area had the most maleantes? Tavernilla and Los Rios, Gamboa. Well, I think
Maleantes, La Boca were all good kids. Balboa were pretty much good kids. I would say Diablo had actually good athletes. I would go with Los Rios.
Los Rios have some
Gamboa,
maleantes.
those guys were more like jungle kids.
Yeah. They were more
Tavernilla
adventurers.
is a good point. Tavernilla. I mean, I don't recall all the kids that lived up there, but I do recall two. Darren Dent, he was a total maleante.
Yeah, that's exactly what came to mind right there.
Yeah,
that's
but
exactly
I would go with
what
Los
came to
Rios.
mind.
Los Rios had the most maleantes.
I think so. Yeah, Los Rios Corozal area was had some tough folks there. But I think Gamboa is always going to turn around and say, "Hey, we do," because Gamboa was like in the frontier, So you lived a little rougher in Gamboa.
Los Rios. I go with Los Rios. Maleantones. So that was the first expansion, 1922 Amador Road. That's where you lived, Willie, out there as well.
Yeah.
So you lived in you lived in part of the original El Prado homes first, and then you moved to the suburbs of the Canal Zone.
Yeah, Amador Road.
Yes.
I lived at the third house from the gate on Amador Road.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we moved around the corner.
Then around 1938, they built the post office.
Right.
And then came World War II. World War II, Willie, is when they just mentioned, oh, look, right there, that's the beauty of the Balboa Flats. Yeah. That's where all the dock workers lived and those guys. That was their place.
That's where you get a good view of what eventually would become there's the YMCA. Is that the YMCA or is that the Balboa restaurant?
That's the Balboa restaurant.
Station?
That became the police station, yeah.
So the YMCA wasn't done yet.
No, YMCA that came later, yeah. There was a YMCA, but it was on Carr Street. It was wooden. You could probably find it. And then it later became, when they built the Panama Canal College, and where Balboa High School is, became their dormitory. So they must have gotten rid of
these three buildings on the left side there where St. Mary's School would be, because they would be too close to the YMCA. Remember, we had the field in between the YMCA and St. Mary's School. That was our gym field.
Well, the concrete one stayed. The first two left. The concrete one is St. Mary's School.
The light colored one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the other ones, like I said, they were too close.
That one got destroyed. Those two got taken out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So, this is right around that time. So, this is right before World War II you're looking at there. So, in World War II, Williamson's place was built. Remember those 12-unit apartments behind the police station? Williamson's place?
Yeah.
It's not in the picture. That was the World War II expansion. And then the Gavilan area behind the YMCA, which you can almost see there. Remember those wood houses back there?
Yes.
And at St. Mary's, remember that was our track to run around those garages?
Yes, that's right. Yes. That's right.
Those wood houses were the next for World War II. And then they also built on Gavilan Road the radio and cable censorship offices. You remember that when we do our long distance calls?
That's right.
So that was the World War II expansion of Balboa.
Yeah.
So then from World War II to 1954, there wasn't really much money in the Canal Zone, right? Because it was all the war. So, but in 1954, Willie, is when they built the Goethals Memorial. 1954. And you know what that Goethals Memorial stands for? You know why they selected that? Okay, I'm going to tell you. The tall piece in the center represents the Continental Divide. Right? Because that's where Panama is. And have you ever been up there? If you're on one side of the road, the water will flow to the Atlantic. On the other side of the road, the water will flow to the Pacific. So that's the kind of idea of the monument, right? The Continental Divide. Yeah. And then you have the locks on the Atlantic and Pacific emptying out into the ocean. Some people say emptying out into Gatun Lake, but it's the ocean. So there's two versions. They say that the fountain represents Gatun Lake, and other people say that the fountain represents the ocean. So that's what's the designed concept behind the monument.
Well, the fountain is what, the middle portion, right, where it pours out.
Right, that would be the Continental Divide,
and and then the Continental
Divide,
water comes from, which would be where the lake comes. Exactly, the water. you know. But when it pours and dumps out of the last bottom of those shelves, which is the bottom section of the locks, it's dumping into the ocean. Makes sense.
Yeah. So maybe it's both. Yeah. So that was why it was designed.
And it's even circular, the whole thing, which is round water, which is the whole Earth. It's the center.
Flat Earth, man. Flat Earth.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, no, you make my brother's day there, man. But,
so 1954, Gold Toss
yes.
goes up, which is a beautiful memorial and monument.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that it took that long, man. Just ridiculous.
Well, you know, the war and, you know, another thing about Balboa, they didn't get the recognition and the opening of the canal and everything because of
that's
World
so
War I.
sad.
You know, they had to just make it the smallest ceremony. And they did plan for a huge ceremony.
Of course they did. The whole world was watching this thing for 10 years.
Yep.
Heck yeah, they wanted something big. And these idiots decided to go and start a war in Europe.
I know. So 1955, the following year, Willie, is when they built 98 new concrete homes on that side of Barnaby Street and the other side of Barnaby Street.
Right.
And then all the wood houses that you see there, Carr Street, Las Cruces, Owen Street, all those guys, they all got taken down.
Yeah, they sure
converted
did.
into
all that
concrete.
See if I can find them on this one. I think we had them on one of these.
The wood ones or the
there's
concrete ones? That's
so
more
those are the wooden ones on the right. Because that's 1930.
Yeah, that's 1930. Yeah. No, they still had the wood by 1930.
That's what I'm saying. That's still the wooden ones on the right-hand side there. Yeah. But now the Balboa School is built. You see the big concrete school there now. And look how the trees have gotten good height now. They're almost full grown at that point on El Prado.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oof,
that a tennis
absolutely
court?
Beautiful.
Oh, where the Balboa Stadium was. Oh, look at what Williams. Where the Balboa Stadium, gymnasium is, it used to be a tennis court. Or it looks like basketball courts too.
That's
wow. Look at the size of the bleachers.
That would be Ricky. That's the parking lot for the commissary.
Because you're right. You're right. You can see the gymnasium's probably already there. What's that building up there where the gymnasium would be?
That I don't know. Who knows what that is?
Because that eventually
that space there is going to be the end of the front of that building there is almost going to be the back end of the bowling alley. Because the end of these bleachers at backstop was our Balboa Rams locker room, and the big gate used to go through to get into the stadium.
Yeah, look at how big it was, man. It looked pretty bad. It had a roof and everything. Wow.
Yes, it did. That's where the crowd sat up there. There was all bleachers in there.
Yeah. Wow. 1930.
That's so cool. 1930. There you go.
There's Williamson's. There's
Roosevelt. Beautiful. That's iconic.
Can you imagine that? Looking at that, God.
Purpose-built, and they know that Mother Nature eventually make it beautiful. Just plan them and wait.
Well, we had some great designers.
Yeah,
there's the work of those gentlemen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's Las Cruces right there, right? That's Las Cruces.
The
main street in the center, that's Las Cruces Street. And that looks like wooden flats.
Yeah.
1921, yes.
That empty lot right at the bottom and middle there is going to be the post office. Because that's Stevens Circle just to the left of it.
Yes. You are right. That is. Then that building right behind it was torn down.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, that one. And the one above it, too. That wood one was torn down, too. That's where the lip.
And you can see that where the Corey Heights area was, that they had those things coming down for that rail line that eventually became Morgan Avenue, I guess.
Yes.
And that was the rail line where they took all that whole side of that hill. They cut all that out and grabbed that rock to go and make the concrete for pouring Miraflores and Pedro Miguel.
Oh, that yes. Look, you can see right there, all scratched out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally, because that was just like the middle section with all the trees. That's the way that entire Ancon Hill was. But they recognized that what was underneath that, and they said, "Hey, that's good rock we need there." So they decided to make it, and then became Corey Heights, hence the name Corey.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. Great view. 1938. Things are moving along, man. And you think about it here now. You're talking about a canal that's been open now for what, 20 years almost, 20 plus years.
Yeah. 20 plus so
years. Now
life
like
is Panama now with their new canal.
Yes, correct. So this is now regular Zonian life that you're looking at here. This is no longer construction life. This is not even post-construction life anymore. This is just Zonian life in general. This is pre-World War II, in fact.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Right before the war, 1938. And then we'll go back a little bit. Look at this one. That's
Again,
a great angle there, Ricky. Figure out where this is, guys.
You see that circle there? I don't that's not there anymore. I don't remember.
No, none of that is that. Those roads were round. Those are all round now. That whole squared off and the way those roads were set up. That's none of that's there. Watch. We'll go back to the map and I'll show you again. Oh wait, it's not.
1955 is when they started putting up all of the concrete 15 units up there on Morgan Avenue.
Right.
See that there's none. They put 15 units up there in 1955. Wow. And then Balboa Heights, 1955, they did a lot of work. And then Balboa Heights, they started converting a lot of those wood houses into concrete. And they also built the Lieutenant Governor's house in 1958.
Well, remember, that was also the era we learned that they started switching over to that breezeway style of housing.
Yep.
And they were building those single and duplexes, and they were that breezeway style. Is what they replaced all of these here. This is the area up here where you would go on the road, not this first road here, but the second road there is the road that you would go on and make the first left to go down to the DeLucas. If you think about that, off of Las Cruces up there. In fact, on the corner there, where that corner house is, that's right about where the Morris's house would be. More or less, maybe a little bit down.
Oh, so they did. Oh, they rounded is what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Look at where Barnaby Street is up there. Now you can kind of position where these houses were. That was.
Oh yeah, so that is where the Morris's. Right. You're right. That is where the Morris's house is, and the Petersons lived across the street. The Summers, Hines.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, the Hines were right across the street there. Yep. That's all became. But again, it was all different.
This is where the Cat and Zeros lived. Right around that circle.
Probably.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. They totally ripped all of that stuff out. So that may not even have been called Las Cruces Street back then. It might have been something else, and they just brought everything else a different road in there now.
Probably.
Because they changed everything else. They changed
this is
absolutely everything else.
1918. Yeah, things were already. Everybody had already moved into El Prado. You can see how clean it is.
Yep.
But the trees are started. The trees got planted right around that time.
Yes. Yeah. The commissary is just getting done, or it's just finished, but no parking lot yet. Yeah. That's the canal just got finished 4 years ago, right? So now you're really transitioning to that point. And then let's see, where's the last group that we had here? Was it this one here? Was it these? Let me start with these.
No, that's the color. There's Tabernia. Those are the original ones.
Yeah, they are. You can tell it's still early there. Still just a little bit of landscaping. Yep. Early Barnaby Street.
Yeah, Barnaby. Okay. That's Barnaby for sure, yes.
But the school's done now. Look at it. Up there, 1920. School had just been finished then.
1920 is when... 1920 is when they... Let me see. When did they do Barnaby? No, the new... No, this is 1920?
Yeah. It says Balboa Canals in 1920, circa 1920. The bachelor quarters will be built on the grassy lot. Yes, I was just going to say, in that lot there, those are the bachelor quarters. Remember, those are the long ones?
Uh-huh.
There were two of them, and they were longer buildings. They covered almost the length of two of these other houses. Those are the bachelor quarters there. Because obviously you put in a bunch of smaller apartments. You don't need the whole full house, full-size place there.
It's a little different now. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Balboa.
Now, what do you guys notice about this? What's the one thing that stands out about this picture? I mean, you're looking at the end of it. At the end of the road there is the Balboa Commissary, okay? So the clubhouse is going to be to your left there. That's the older clubhouse. Eventually, to the right would be the post office at the end of the road there. But you're looking at this road here. What do you notice about this road?
Me or the commie? Me, I noticed that everybody's driving on the wrong
Let's see who notices it. Yeah. It's before the traffic switched.
So right
Wasn't that like in 43 or something?
During World War II is when they switched it over. Well, I wonder why.
They sure did.
I wonder if Panama also had driving on the left side, or was it just the Canal Zone?
What the Canal Zone decided was when Panama switched. Yep, there you go. Chris Jeffries got it. Exactly. They switched. When the Canal Zone decided that when Panama was going to switch their driving direction, the Canal Zone would switch theirs as well to avoid any issues. So that you're not driving, you drive into Panama, next thing you're on the wrong side of the road. So they said,
they were like, Panama was like the Spaniards, the Europeans.
Yes, correct. So whatever they decided to adopt, it was going to be easier for the zone to just adopt that one anyway and be done with it. So that was their mindset, was just whenever Panama does, we'll do it as well and be done with it.
Well, Willie, after 1955, there was no more expansions to Balboa. After that, all they would do, Willie, would build churches, banks, lodge halls, and schools.
Sure. And if anything, you can already even see some early leanings towards downsizing, because they started taking some areas down and they never replaced them. You can even remember going out to the Yacht Club. They used to have a lot of the big barracks there, the big wooden buildings, like
those
the
wooden houses out there. Yeah, they got taken down,
and nothing was replaced there. You started seeing a lot of these areas like that. They took them down and they weren't replacing them. So maybe even then they were anticipating, because like we've learned that, even as early as the 50s with Eisenhower, there was talk of, will we eventually be getting out of here?
Yeah.
So who knows?
Reading all the things about the construction, here's something that a little tidbit that you guys would like to hear. Inside the admin building, right, there's that rotunda with those 8 marble columns. Well, according to the construction account, Willie, a piece at the base of nearly every one of those columns, minus one, was installed upside down. Until today, that error was left in place and can still be read in the stonework today. So next time you guys go to the admin building, go to where the 8 columns are, look at the base, and you'll see the writing is upside down. That was a mistake that they ended up just leaving.
That's
How
cool.
could
It's like
that
the upside down
mistake get
airplane on
through
a stamp.
Goethals? I bet that Goethals got that guy, reamed him a new one.
Hell yeah. half salary, half rations for a month. You're in trouble now, dude. You're not going to be able to buy your filet mignon at the commissary, because let me tell you what, they took care of these people. The Zonians bought at an under market price. They were subsidized. The Canal Zone government subsidized and paid for a lot of that food. So you were buying food a lot cheaper in the zone than you were up in the States. For main lots, you're paying less. Yeah, it was. It made it affordable. It made it a place you're going to stay there. You're going to live there.
It was a big controversy with Panama from back then, because the commissary was known to be cheaper and the best quality of everything of the time.
100%.
Yeah. So 100%. Again, guys,
they had the first cold storage in all of that area.
Very carefully planned government town, biggest of its time. Our man George Goethals had final authority on everything.
Right.
Every decision he made, and he made every single one. Yep.
Notice on this picture here,
Lord didn't disappoint. He brought all that architectural drama. Now you guys know why I'm so dramatic.
That
is
fits
a
for sure.
DNA thing, yeah. And what's interesting about the Canal Zone, Willie, was the social clubs, like the Elks Club. What is the Elks Club? I don't think I've ever seen that up here in California. Of course, the Masons were also down there, and the Knights of Columbus.
They had quite a few organizations, even a lot more than that. The Kangaroo one. They had one called the Kangaroos. They had a lot of them. That was, one of the things that happened, especially during construction. A lot of people got injured, right? This was a dangerous job. And so you break a leg and or you have a really serious injury where you're out of work for 5 or 6 weeks. There's no pay, all right? There's no sick pay. There's none of that kind of stuff. There's no Aflac, none of that crap. So what happened was people gravitated to these clubs, these organizations, because as part of your membership, oftentimes people took care of each other in these organizations. And so you naturally form these things as also as a fallback for, support when you're unable to work and feed your family. You're part of this Kangaroo Club or this Masonic Club or whatever. And guess what? You get some meals out of it. You get some, they help you pay a bill or whatever the case is. So, it made sense. And you saw a lot of it. And where we've learned that a lot of your public buildings, they multi-purpose them as meeting places for all these organizations, because they were prevalent everywhere from day one of the canal. And again, that purpose was because there wasn't no other way to get that supplemental help, right? The government, as much as they took care of you, when you weren't working, you weren't earning. That was the way it worked, man. Bottom line.
There. Yeah.
Yeah.
Balboa, guys, was a complete social system. Everything was there, right? Commissary, post office, all in that one area too. Commissary, post office, dispensary, dentist office, clubhouse, theater, pool. For those of you that wanted to, go. God,
and don't kid yourself.
Right
That's not. It was successful because it was a controlled environment. It was a controlled project, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's in general that's not feasible. But then again, it was also subsidized, right? There was a lot of money being poured in to make it work that way, but it was all very purposeful, right? Those theaters were put in for a reason. Those things, all of that stuff was done day one. You're not even pouring concrete yet, and you already have social clubs being built there. What does that tell you about the mindset that they had to try and keep the people there? Because it was an awful place to live in for probably the first 20 years. So, I mean, they wanted to make sure you felt good about living there, and your family wanted to live there, because there ain't nothing worse than coming home from work and having your spouse and the kids all hating life there because they want to go back to the United States. So they made it a utopia, man. They made it a great place to live. And these pictures have shown a lot of that, man. It's pretty amazing.
Yep. And the technology, like I said, the sewer system, the drainage system, the electrical system, the train, everything was just top notch, guys.
It was. They did not spare a nickel for anything.
And done at the fastest of time, man. I mean, this is unreal. I mean, it takes us a year and a half to build the house nowadays.
Yeah.
A house.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
No, listen. Just from the permitting that goes on in today's construction world, you couldn't build a canal today in the United States. The Americans couldn't do it. Not with all the regulations and with OSHA and everything else.
You couldn't have such authority like that over one project, one man.
Absolutely not.
So, guys, I got some questions. What was Balboa connected with before it was called Balboa?
Okay. Or Balboa.
Connected to before it was called Balboa.
Interesting. Remember, we got a bit of a lag there,
Yeah, a bit of a lag. But let me tell you, Balboa, the name Balboa was decided, by who? By a freaking Peruvian ambassador. He was like in a meeting and he says, well, if the Atlantic side is going to call it Cristobal for Christopher Columbus, why don't you call the Balboa side for Vasco Núñez de Balboa? Balboa. That's how it was decided.
Wow, that totally makes sense, man, because he discovered the Pacific.
But it was a Peruvian ambassador, nobody from the United States or the Canal Zone or anything. It was some random guy at a meeting, and Goldo's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's call it Balboa. All right, well, the answer is La Boca, because before Balboa was Balboa, it was called La Boca. That was what that town was called. La Boca, the mouth.
Yes. The mouth.
So they were like La Boca and Cristobal? No. Let's call it something more, that's all they got Balboa.
So we would have been playing for the La Boca Rams.
The La Boca Rams. La Boca High School.
Thank God for that Peru,
I know, man. La Boca Bulldogs. Come on. I love La Boca kids. La Boca kids were cool. That's one thing. They were really cool. I love La Boca kids.
Amador kids were cool too, but I wouldn't want to go to Amador High School or play for the Amador Rams.
You're right.
Well, thank God for this Peruvian guy, man. He had a little sense there, and throw a little creativity there.
Let's see if you guys were paying attention. Did the administration building open before or after the canal opened?
Did the admin open before the Panama Canal opened? So, we know that the Panama Canal opened because we just celebrated the anniversary last week. It opened August 15th of 1914. So did the admin building
open before or after?
And we were looking at pictures during construction. They had some dates on those. Look at you, you scurvy dog. Well, let's think here. Remember, we got a little bit of a time to, we got that time buffer here. It's like we're broadcasting from the moon. And you got to say, okay, over. And then you got to wait about 4 minutes for somebody to respond. But that's interesting because that was the one. The other building, like I said, that I noticed came up early was that fire station. And from a logical standpoint, you want to protect your construction. So, all right, Bob Dylan, he's throwing out with, he's saying after. Dylan?
Well, see, if you were being called Carlos Santana, you would have got it right.
Yeah. So was it before? It
was actually open a month before. You believe that, man? They opened July 15th. July 1st, actually. All right. Now, why? So you guys are paying attention. I got all these questions that I prepared for you guys. Why was the Grand Canal opening celebrations canceled? Anybody paid attention? Yes, before.
Yeah,
but,
we just went over that one there, but and that's so irritating, man, because it was for the United States. The building of the Panama Canal was America's coming out party to the industrial world and to the might and the power of America and what they were able to do. It was something that the entire world had been wanting to see since the 1880s when the French started doing it, right? Because the Suez Canal was a big deal. The Suez Canal revolutionized shipping on that side of the world. So everybody's eyes were on that, and then all of a sudden something else happened here.
Yep, it's all true. World War I happened and screwed it all up.
Yep, Archduke Ferdinand got shot.
One thing I could tell you that didn't get screwed up: the clubhouse had huge parties because that was December. The Tivoli had huge parties.
Oh, I'll bet the Tivoli was rocking, man.
The Tivoli was rocking. The clubhouse opened Christmas Day of 1914. So
now, it's you have that date and everything about it. It's the canal opening, and technically it wasn't like it was opening like, oh my gosh, the doors are open. Oh my God, look at this thing inside. It's incredible, right? It's been opening and closing. We've actually had a couple of test runs here, just partials here and there, but it was the official full transit of the Ancon. And that's what then designated as the opening.
The first ship, but we know it wasn't the Ancon. It was the Cristobal.
Correct. Right? That was the test one.
Was the first one.
The Ancon was the first public official one. Correct. But now my question is, so what do they consider the official opening when it passed the Port of Balboa? If it was, let's say, a southbound? Like, did it start in Cristobal, or is it when it cleared the breakwater, when it passed Naos Island? Was that when it officially has made a full transit? That would be interesting to see if, where everyone's watching. Here it comes, and yeah, hooray, we made it, and made that official correct. Because it was about a 10-hour crossing, is it? 10 or 12 hours, I guess. So it would be interesting to see how they determine that and figure that out. But that's really, really fast. This was Balboa was for many of us, a lot of you that didn't grow up in Balboa. Balboa was a really, really cool town to live in. I had the good fortune of living on Barnaby Street, so I lived in those big concrete houses, and they were big and they were very comfortable. Like Ricky said, they were very high ceilings and all big wooden floors. The walls were as thick as you can imagine, so once you ran that AC, that house stayed cold. And it was underneath they had the downstairs homes, and if you had the maids' quarters, if you used them for that, or if you didn't, it was a great place for storing stuff or whatever. Didn't Leaf Solene have a big train set down there?
Yeah, his dad, huge.
Right.
I'm lucky to grow up with that, yeah.
Right, and then from there, I moved over off of Amador Road, and those are the wooden houses, those old wooden redwood houses, that were on the stilts.
The first suburb, man.
Yes, and just running around all these different areas. You're gonna go to the Lucas house. You're gonna go to the Rose house. You're gonna go to Cub Scouts over at the DeStefano's house, which is across the street from you guys. Off of Owen Street or whatever, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up where like Ricky said before, the canals, everybody knew your name, and the rule was be home by the time the streetlights came on, and that was because everybody felt safe. It was okay. Just at night, it's dinner time. Come home and have dinner with your family. But other than that, man, just go run around, have fun. You're going to be safe here. It's a canal zone. It's a community. We're all in a great place, and it's
this is a place where your neighbor's dad can whoop your ass if you were misbehaving, and it was totally accepted.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that was the beauty of growing up in the canal zone, and then By doing this tonight, Ricky, you've taken a lot of us back to that place, man. We're like, yeah, I remember, some painful areas, man. I remember going down that road there and falling off my bike and just wrecking the hell out of my elbow, and I remember that vividly, and it just that's what's really cool about doing this show is having that opportunity to go back to that amazing
with pictures
growing up, man,
and factual information.
Yes, and learn new things about it, because we didn't have that same awe as a kid. We just lived there and just enjoyed it, but as adults now, it's cool to learn where it came from. And and who did what and why, and how it changed even between now and then. Like we saw those areas there where you saw the Balboa Flats, how it radically changed. And this view here,
yes.
this is Stevens Circle, nothing like what I remember. I remember my mom being in the grocery store and I'm walking along the wall. It had that elevated wall with the grass inside and the little triangular, concrete monument on the inside of that thing, way different than what you see there. So it's,
Willie, I also remember none of us ever played on the grass inside Stevens Circle. For whatever reason, we knew you couldn't play there.
It was considered off limits. And it
was like a sacred place. Absolutely. Even
but I would
kids
walk
caught
that
on to
wall.
that.
I would walk that wall, for 15 minutes, whatever, just daydreaming or whatever, waiting for my mom to finish grocery shopping. And then when I remember I want something, from the grocery store, like the Eskimo pies or something, jump off the wall, run across the street and go inside and find my mom and throw it in the buggy there and then take it down the ramp, and wow, great memories, dude. This was a great trip down memory lane tonight, Ricky.
It was fun doing it. Dude. I took the time to really research everything and find a good way of telling the story, and I felt like we kind of hit on the marks. It was fun doing this show.
100%, brother. 100%. It was I was and I saw it already earlier because we went over it, and I still had a lot of smiles, man, because it was yeah. No, I know that once a month, man. This is gonna be the Ricky week, and it's all right, man. Ricky week's a good week, man. It's all
now
good,
you're a Big Trouble shooter and all that good stuff. He's got to put up with me. People that know me know that's pretty difficult. Sorry, but I always good intentions.
No, exactly. No, it really is. And you know what? This is Ricky's passion. Ricky is an architect by trade, so he gets in this. He absolutely loves doing this, and you can tell, man. I mean, he's the whole week he's excited about it, and for good reason, man, because he does.
Willie, next month we have Richard Grimison coming on with me, and we are going to talk about Canal Zone Zonian architect, because the Grimisons are Zonian. They're like 5th, 6th generation. They've been here since.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, they served Roosevelt lunch.
Right.
I mean,
no
these guys go way back. And his dad was a great architect, and we're going to talk about him next month. Yep. Richard Grimison and his brothers and sisters will be on to join.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a good show, man.
Look forward for that show, you guys. I'll keep everybody posted on when that's going to be, but we'll probably start working on that. Richard normally contacts me on Saturdays and we go over the show. So I'm sure tomorrow he'll contact me and we go, okay, Rick, we're doing this thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then keep in mind, guys, next week we're gonna do another trivia show, some fun trivia there. We'll get you a 4-pack of Howler Monkey sauce to the winner there. But and stay tuned, guys. Speaking of trivia, we're working on a fun project here. Okay, and what I would suggest, if you want to go back to having some fun here on like some Zonian TV, is go watch the Hollywood Squares. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah, learn the Hollywood Squares. Yes, learn. Paraíso on the first front.
Right on. 2 weeks from now with Dave Dahlstrom. Very good.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Bill, thanks for joining us, man. Guys,
everybody,
have a wonderful weekend. Ricky, happy Friday. Get us out of here.
We love you guys. Excellent show. Thank you.
Cheers, everybody. Salud.